Hello, hello! Welcome on in. What's up, folks? Just finished the Fortress video. Thank you. Thank you for everyone who's watched today's video. Welcome into the first stream from the Minecraft Survival Guide Season 2. Exciting times! We're back. We're back in Survival Guide streaming territory. It feels good. So I thought, around the time of the new year, we're a little bit early, but, you know, it's a Tuesday, so it felt right. We're going to step into the Survival Guide 2 world. We're going to be doing a bunch of the behind-the-scenes work on the series, basically, on these streams. So this is going to be where we do our resource gathering, all of the stuff that I've already done tutorials for, like, you know how to chop down a tree at this point, so me doing that in the video is just kind of wasted time in YouTube videos. So I'm not going to show you every single tree I chop down on YouTube. But this is where we do the behind-the-scenes stuff like that. We gather wood for different projects. We can maybe do a little bit of like resource gathering from caves. Probably not going to do any big caving runs yet because we're still early in the series and that stuff is still new content. It still feels exciting. I actually found a cave that will show up in the end of tomorrow's video that I really want to explore on camera for a YouTube video. But later on in the series, when the caves start to feel a little bit more run-of-the-mill, a little bit more like, oh, we've seen this kind of thing before, then I'll probably do a little bit more of that kind of stuff on stream. But for now, at least, we need to do maybe a bit of resource gathering in places we've already been. We'll do bits and pieces of that. And then later on, of course, it will turn into the grind work that goes into all of the farms and stuff like that. Like when we end up doing, say, a Guardian farm, for example, that's a lot of work that I can probably just cut out of the YouTube video once I've explained what I'm doing. And then we can do that on stream, and then we can cut back in the video later once it's been done. And that makes the video a lot shorter and a lot better in the tutorial format for everybody. So I'm explaining all of this up front because this is going to go on YouTube. This is going to be on my Pixel VOD's channel. And I'm planning on uploading all of the streams from Survival Guide there, so the entire process is documented for the people who want to go out there and find it. In the meantime, I want to acknowledge some folks in the chat who are being very supportive today. Hopeless Dove, Tatiana, thank you for the resubs. Nixcraft with the 200 bits, Fraggo with the 3 months of Prime, Elf with the 12-month resub, the Nerd resub, the full year of support here on the channel. Thank you so much. Welcome to the Nerd Herd. And everyone has already spammed the word nerd in the chat, of course. And Mirethkir with the 10 gifted subs to the community. Thank you so much. Cryptotis, thank you for the 10 months. CN Flores, thank you for the 10 months as well. Awesome stuff. We got a hype train going nice and early here. So, we're going to be back in Minecraft 1.18.1. And we're going to get to see the Survival Guide Season 2 world once the game hooks in. There we go. We're going to load this up. This is our first time visiting the Survival Guide world on stream, but this is very much the world you'll all be used to if you've been watching the YouTube videos. Unlike some other folks here on Twitch, I'm not going to be keeping track of the world's progress in terms of like Minecraft's in-game days or the amount of hours I've spent in the world because I'm already on day 152. We haven't done a lot by the grand scheme of the way people do stuff on like those more progress-focused videos. In this, we're very much about the tutorial aspects of the game, making sure that people understand the concepts we're dealing with and taking my time as we go through this. I've also not done as much building as I would typically do in an average, like, casual world, because I don't want every tutorial to be about building, but I also want to make sure that when I do build something significant, I can make that a tutorial video. So, naturally, I've got the house here, we've got the little enchanting setup, we've got the fishing shack, we have the nether portal down there. But there is one minor spoiler that you might see if I end up going into my basement. We've already started potion brewing for the episode that's going to be out Wednesday, tomorrow. So, yeah, you will probably see bits and pieces of that, but that's a very minor thing. We started farming nether warts. You probably knew potion brewing was coming up anyway, so there we go. Today we're just going to be chopping woods, because I like to get a lot of chopping wood done in preparation for future builds in the series so that I don't have to break the flow of whatever it is I'm doing in order to just cut down trees for 2 hours. It's always nice to have a good stockpile of this stuff, and it's something I'm probably going to encourage people to do in the videos themselves. Like, if you want to establish a routine where you don't have to break the flow of what you want to do in Minecraft, then it's worth dedicating, like, at least a little bit of your gameplay time each week to resource collection. So that's kind of the focus of what we're going to do on these streams for the first little while, at least. I'm going to very quickly catch up with the chat once again. Sam Garofalo, thank you for the 100 bits. Devin, thank you for the the gifted sub to Japes42, which is the 5th month that they've been subscribed to the channel. It's a real mystery, thank you for the 100 bits. Malil and Asus, thank you for gifting a sub. Peregrine with the 9 months, and Chaff with the 9 months as well. Enjoy your mic sub badges, both of you. One of the first things I'm going to do is take down some of these temporary crop farms that I've had going on over here, and in Thursday's video, by this point, you'll see the effect of this, because we're going to be moving a little bit of stuff around, and we're probably going to... Do I have fortune? Can we get more melon seeds from fortuning stalks? I never remember. Anyway, we don't really need them, but I'm just kind of curious about whether that worked or not. Yeah, we're going to be just clearing up this area a little bit and making a more dedicated space in future for the crop farming side of things. So I kind of want to just take care of a little bit of this stuff now. We'll cut down the bamboo. We might use this area for tree chopping, but we've also got to think of, you know, spruce trees creating podzol and that kind of stuff. But for now, I'm at least going to get this lot out of the way. And we'll probably actually fortune the nether wart. Some of my tools still aren't enchanted, and I will probably hold off on enchanting them on this stream, even though that would be a little bit more helpful to me. I don't have mending on everything yet either. We might do a bit of fishing later on to see if we can fish up a couple of books, but I'm planning on taking it very easy on this stream, not least because I had my COVID booster yesterday, and so I reserve the right to end the stream early if I start feeling rotten and under the weather a little bit later. But for now, I'm feeling pretty good. I have a little bit of, like, bruising type pain up in where the injection was, and aside from that, I don't feel a thing. So hopefully I'll be alright for the duration of this stream. Rafe, thank you so much for the 3 months, and Liger Gaming with the 875 bits. Very true about the need for constant resource collection. Going to be tree shopping yourself on a server while watching you chop trees today. You love to see it. A mutual Choppin Tuesday, that's what we want. So I don't have a great deal of bone meal right now either. So a lot of the trees we're going to be growing, I have like 6 bones, which I'll probably save for something a bit later. A lot of the trees we're going to be growing, we're going to be planting and then just waiting for them to grow manually. So I guess we'll probably start off by planting a bunch of saplings. We'll get the spruce isolated in its own area. And I mean, we have enough birch. We don't need to go with birch, really. I want to get some dark oak, some spruce, some jungle, and some regular oak. I'm not that keen on acacia right now, but I don't think we're in the right biome for acacia, so we'll probably grow some more of that another time. We got the Choppin, we do. We do indeed. Mia Bensley, thank you for the 2 months. Got hit by a massive storm here and just slowly started to get water, electricity, and internet back. Well, I'm glad you're here, and hope nothing is too damaged with the storm. I know a few people are experiencing storms around this time of year, so hopefully everybody stays safe and well. Well, I don't wear headphones because I can play with quiet music and quiet sound effects, and it's much more comfortable streaming without headphones. My headphones are all large and clunky as well. I don't have a convenient set of earbuds to plug into my mixer because all of the earbuds I have are kind of old and not very good, and my mixer has a 1/4-inch jack input. It has... Is this 1/4-inch? I can't remember, honestly. It's one of these. And so what most people are used to is one of those to plug in your headphones, but my mixer requires one of these. And so I don't really have a set of headphones, like little earbuds, that have a jack that big, and I have adapters for them, but yeah, I think it's just a little bit cumbersome to stream with little earbuds. Either that or massive over-ear headphones. And I don't really have like a proper... I have like a Logitech gaming headset that they gave me for a Twitch Rivals gig, but that was like a sponsored thing, and I'm not really used to listening to the game through that. So I figured, why bother? Because I can just put the music on quietly and have my speakers on, and nobody really notices or cares. Just T4 Freak, thank you so much. Or Just 4 Freak, sorry. Thank you so much for the 4 months. Jezza Guy with the brand new Tier 1 sub to the channel. Enjoy your emotes and your sub badge. Welcome to the Pixels. Fluffy Hedgehog, thank you for the 5 months. Jezza Guy also gifting 5 subs. Incredibly generous of you. Thank you so much. And Zoop Shutter, hopefully I said that right. Thank you so much for the brand new Tier 1 sub once again. Folks who've been gifted subs, make sure you thank these very generous sub gifters and everybody else. Really appreciate the support. Thank you so much for the hype train. And welcome back to streams for the Survival Guide. So what we're going to do for the spruce trees, because I don't really want a ton of podzol around here, There's a couple of ways we can handle that. We can make a platform higher up that's not going to spread the podzol to any of the surrounding grass. I might just end up using one of the Riverland islands for my spruce farm, though. So I might end up doing that instead. And we are going to be sleeping pretty regularly here because I don't want to deal with phantoms right away. Dictionary with the 31 months and Zombie Jose with the 14 as well. Thank you all so much. Wish I could be that lucky finding a nether fortress. I mean, same. I was very surprised. And a couple of people were pointing out in the comments of that video that in the subtitles, you could actually see blaze crackles when I was standing next to the wall where that nether portal was before. So that was very well spotted by them. Their eagle eyes caught that when mine didn't, but I had a lot of other stuff to be worried about at the time. Sweet Sandy, thank you for the 100 bits. Rakuta, thank you for 5 gifted subs as well. Appreciate that very much. And so, yeah, I didn't notice that, but thankfully I just dug through that wall and the nether fortress was just there. And I said at the time, people are going to think this is staged. People are going to think that I've gone, oh, how convenient, I'll just dig through this wall. And it turns out to be in the right place at the right time. But, no, I haven't had anybody being, like, taking the cynical approach and thinking that I planned ahead for that. I really didn't. I was genuinely completely shocked. And I decided to leave that giant pause in the video because I felt like I could probably cut there and be like, oh my goodness, and cut straight to the reaction, but I thought, no, let's give it the space it deserves. I don't normally edit that way. I like to have a lot of faster cuts in my videos, but I thought that one kind of deserved it because of how genuine it felt to be shocked by finding a nether fortress that quickly. But as people pointed out, I had a nether fortress very close to my nether portal in the first season of Survival Guide as well, so it goes with the territory at this point. I think we have a history of that kind of stuff with this series now. The Real Southim, thank you so much for the 6 months. And Swifty Angie, thank you so much for the 6 months as well. Queen Kiwi with the 18-month resub. Happy 18 months, hope you're well. I am, thank you, yes. Having just got my booster yesterday, I was saying at the top of the stream that my arm is in a little bit of pain, but aside from that, I don't have any side effect symptoms. I reserve the right to end the stream early if I start feeling a little bit run down later, but as far as I can tell, it's been almost 24 hours since I've had it, and I got off lightly. My partner is currently downstairs resting up from having some body aches and stuff overnight, so I do seem to have gotten off lightly. But we'll see. I don't want to count my chickens yet, you know? Don't want to jinx it and then feel rotten later. Did I get the Is It a Bird achievement yet? I did, yeah. I got that on the episode where we adopted the parrot, I believe. Like, I should have it in here somewhere. I need to do an episode where I do the full-on talk about advancements and stuff, because there's definitely some stuff in here. Oh, yeah, it's at the top of Adventure. There it is. I don't have Is It a Plane yet, though, because I haven't really seen ghasts. I think I saw a couple of them while I was riding around on a Strider, but I didn't want to stop. I didn't want to stop and risk getting blown off the back of the Strider by a ghast fireball. Not that that would have really mattered, but yeah, still. Am I chopping trees to make space for a build or just for birch? No, I'm chopping trees to make space for more trees. We're going to be replanting the spruce here, and right now we're getting the birch trees out of the way because it means I have a bit more space to plant the spruce saplings, and also so that we're using this island for a spruce farm and it doesn't matter as much if the entire terrain over here turns to podzol. We can use that to grow giant mushrooms later as well, so that'll be quite useful. But yeah, either way, once the leaves start to decay here, we've probably already got the dark oak trees growing over there. We'll also replant some oak. We can farm some oak from the local forests, but I tend to replant stuff sustainably because I don't always like clear-cutting an area. I like to keep some of the natural landscape around. Internal, thank you for gifting a sub, and Mohammed Gaber, thank you so much for the 200 bits. Thank you very much, appreciate that. So salty because I spent hours looking for a jungle with no success in your old world, but in your new world you spawned on a jungle island with nothing else around for hundreds of blocks. It seems to be all or nothing with jungles, doesn't it? My brother-in-law, Mr. Casto, just started an all advancements world where he's playing in regular 118, and he got a jungle spawn there, and immediately went 1,500 blocks away because he was like, what am I going to do with this? Oh, that's a short jungle tree. That is like the shortest jungle tree I've seen for a while. But let's take it down, because we're really after the wood here. The vines and stuff I'm not going to worry about. We can get more vines another time. And I need vines even less now that moss and mossy cobblestone is a recipe. What happened to Empires? Empires is going to come back at some point in the new year, but I'm mostly just doing stuff and focusing on the survival guide for now, because if you haven't noticed, I can make 5 episodes of survival guide a week right now, because the episode concepts are all relatively small, whereas the problem with a show like Empires is that because everyone else is doing really big stuff, I feel like I have to do really big stuff, and then it takes me a week to make a video, and I get like 1/5 of the amount of views. And that's like, I don't want to be that guy who chases views on YouTube, but it's also how I make money, and it's, you know, how I'm able to feed myself and everything. So frankly, I think Empires is going to take a backseat for a while, maybe until that server updates to 1.18. I really wanted to focus on bringing Minecraft 1.18 content to my channel, and that server is still on 1.17 as of today, as far as I'm aware. If they don't update it, then I will still make an episode, because I want to be able to like tie things up as far as the story goes, but I have the problem with Empires that I think a lot of people had with Hermitcraft, in that, like, if you aren't speedrunning because you know the server has a limited lifespan, then you kind of find yourself getting left behind, and I just didn't have the amount of enthusiasm for the later stages of that series that some people seem to have. And that's ultimately the same reason I'm not interested in joining a server like Hermitcraft, is that occasionally there will be times when other people want to do different stuff with a season of content, and that dramatically affects your own choices for what you want to do with your channel. So I think it's better to not get involved with that stuff as much. And honestly, Empires was a weird series for me. It was the kind of thing that was a significant departure from the kind of content I already made. Am I going to make a spider farm with the cave spider spawner? Of course. I'm not going to leave 4 cave spider spawners intact and not do something with them, but yeah, when I'm going to do that is another matter entirely. I'm not certain at this point. Let's make this chest here wood overstock, and I'm going to put a sign on that because I constantly forget to mark where these things are. So we'll make a quick sign real fast. I don't have any more signs in here, so we'll make 3. We'll put this one as wood overstock, and that's where we'll put all of the logs for the time being. We're just going to gather the overworld types of logs for now. Since I don't have silk touch yet, I don't have access to nylium. Stone types there, and that's wool, that's clay, that's glass and sand. Yeah. Wood. That's more like it. that's the kind of jungle tree you can take to the bank right there. And I may get some scaffolding for this just so we can climb up and get the rest of these leaves. Mistress Fairy, thank you so much for the 12-month resub. Another full year of support. Welcome to the Nerd Herd. Everyone spam the word nerd in the chat, please. Where did I put the scaffolding? Oh, it's in transport. That makes sense. That's upward transport. It works. There is method to this madness. So if anyone is new here and is confused about why I ask everyone to spam the word nerd in the chat every time somebody resubscribes for 12 months, my sub badges are all little critters that my good friend Joel Duggan, who I do the podcast with, helped me design. And they each have different names. So the little green one that's like the initiate badge, the first month that you're subscribed to the channel, that one is called Squirt. The 3-month one is called Blip. The 6-month one is called Yeet, I think. We're just coming up with silly 4-letter word names for them at that point. And the 9-month one is called Mike, and the 12-month one is called Nerd. Because if you've been around for 12 months here, then you're obviously a nerd, so it makes sense. When is my next YouTube video? Tomorrow. We're covering potion brewing. Now that we've been to the nether, we've got blaze rods and nether warts. Seemed like the logical next step, because, of course, then you get fire resistance potions that you can use to explore the rest of the nether. You've got water breathing potions, so we can go do some cave diving. When you're tree farming, what are the tips for getting bees beyond oak and flowers? Birch and flowers. No, that's really the only thing you need is make sure you have a flower within 2 blocks of a birch tree or an oak tree, and it has a small chance of spawning a beehive. Birch trees are usually what I go with because they don't spawn huge variants the way that oak trees sometimes spawn those giant ones. Because then it's less hassle to take them down if you need to replant them and grow them again. But yeah, just make sure you plant a bunch of flowers around where you want to grow the saplings, and it's pretty easy. Just leave them to it. You saw a zombie with a child on its shoulder. Yeah, somebody sent that to me on Twitter. Was that you? Somebody sent me a baby zombie riding an adult zombie. And in Bedrock Edition, they just do that. They don't do it at all on Java. On Java Edition, the only thing baby zombies ride is chickens. But on Bedrock Edition, they ride anything, which can be quite frightening. Jungle there. I have like a system for this. I go oak, birch, spruce, jungle, dark oak, acacia. It's kind of the order that the trees were added to the game, so it makes sense in my head, even though I haven't been around for that long. The game already had all 6 trees before I even started playing on PC. What's up, Bolner? Welcome in. Yow hey, indeed. Will I show complex redstone? Probably at some point, yes. Depends what you mean by complex redstone. Am I a member of Psycraft? No. Will I hopefully be able to showcase some practical redstone contraptions? Absolutely. It's part of the survival game for me now. It's something that I've taught myself to love about Minecraft. Having never really been the most technically minded person when it came to this game, Survival Guide Season 1 taught me that so much of that stuff is incredibly useful. So I will show some redstone contraptions in future. How complicated it gets, like, is in the eye of the beholder, really. Like, there are some people to whom all of this stuff is child's play, and some people to whom they will never understand it. So I'm going to try my best just to make the stuff understandable. Like double item sorting? I mean, probably at some stage, yeah. I'm definitely going to build the copper field from Empires again, yes. That is one thing that I'm incredibly happy about it because I designed it myself, and there are much better copper aging farms out there, but honestly, I just really enjoyed what I made, so I would like to build like a copper splitter again. I think that was really fun. Civil Dark, thank you so much for the 2 months of Prime. Appreciate that very much. Series has made me realize that I don't know as much as I think about Minecraft after almost 2 years. To be honest, same. Like, I've already made several mistakes in the course of this series that people in the comments have corrected. Like the fact that Luck of the Sea doesn't actually decrease your chances of getting fish. Like, it doesn't decrease the speed at which you get fish anymore. Those mechanics were simplified back in, I want to say 1.13 or 1.14. They removed the whole thing about lure not getting you as much treasure and changing the proportions of stuff, and they removed Luck of the Sea decreasing your catch rate. If that was ever a thing to begin with, it no longer is. And I was deeply confused by that because, honestly, I always thought that was the case. But yeah, just like people pointing out stuff like that in the comments, and honestly just not being a pill about it, not being like, you forgot this, or like, what a noob, you didn't realize that. Like, just, you know, phrase it in a constructive way, and I'll always be open to that. It's always really interesting to understand, like, what people have retained is precious knowledge to them, you know? And that's really where I'm at, and I'm trying to be less precious about the knowledge that I have, because it turns out I'm wrong some of the time. Any caving on today's stream? I don't know if we'll do any caving as such. We're certainly not going to explore any areas that we have not already been, because I don't want to do too much on these streams that is going to effectively, like, be content that I could use for YouTube, if you see what I mean. Like, I don't want to, I don't want my YouTube audience to miss out on that stuff being in videos when it could be worthwhile video content. But we can definitely go and get some resources from caves. The other thing right now is I don't have mending, so I have to be a little bit more aware of the durability on my tools and make sure that until we get mending, I don't overuse them. So I don't want to be stuck in a cave and not have any durability left on a fortune pickaxe when I run into some diamonds, for example. You still thought for a long time that sugarcane grew faster on sand? Yeah, little misconceptions like that. Those are the big problem about this game and about its audience, because sometimes stuff like that is true and is just like one of those things that seems like a hidden mechanic. Sometimes stuff like that is completely false, like the sugarcane on sand thing. Sometimes it's been made into a mod because there's this block in modded called Snad, which is like sand in every way other than sugarcane does grow faster on it. Doing only boring stuff today while talking. Yes, absolutely. That's the idea. And if you don't like it, you can leave. It's entirely fine. You don't have to hang out on these streams. And this is just behind-the-scenes stuff for people who want it. If you're not the type of person who would listen to a director's commentary on a DVD, then you might not be into these streams. But honestly, the exciting stuff is the reason I have a YouTube series. So the exciting stuff is mostly going to be saved for YouTube. But the fact that we're cutting down all of these trees on stream means that I can do more exciting stuff in YouTube easier, which makes my day a lot easier and makes the possibility of me continuing to make daily videos for the YouTube channel a lot more viable. Diamond Trash Bag, thank you for the 7 months. Lavender Mama with the 9 months as well. And yeah, a lot of people find these streams relaxing. If that's not your bag, I completely understand and you can leave. But, like, I'm entirely happy to just chop wood and talk to people. Usually can't catch the streams because of school. Yeah, I know. I stream at, like, a mid-afternoon time here in the UK. I start at 3 p.m. UK time. And I know that for some people that's different in different parts of the world, but this is just what fits my schedule right now. I may be reconsidering some of that in the new year, because my partner has started streaming on Twitch and they're doing completely different stuff. They're not doing gaming stuff at all. But it may be that we decide to refactor some of the ways we plan our streams, just so that we can make room for each other's schedules and still spend time together and have meals at sensible times and things like that. Use my streams as a podcast? Well, that sounds like a great thing too. I also have a podcast if you want to use that as a podcast. TheSpawnChunks.com, or anywhere podcasts are available, search for The Spawn Chunks and you will find us. I play the guitar. I do, very rarely these days, because I was a guitarist for, I guess, since the age of about 15, and I went to university and did some music production stuff. And yeah, my guitar playing skills never really led anywhere. Like, I was never especially good. I just enjoyed kind of strumming around. I didn't really get very good at learning other people's songs to play either. So yeah, these days I just kind of noodle on the guitar, but I really love that guitar. It's a baritone Alvarez acoustic, and I really love the tone of it. Even though the strings on it are really old, it still sounds really nice. I will not be playing it on stream, because honestly I don't know what I would play, first and foremost, but also because that's not what these streams are here for. Where did I get my skin? Designed it myself. The Minecraft skin is based entirely on clothing I own. Like, that jumper is a jumper that I bought at a TK Maxx about, I want to say 15 years ago. That I still wear occasionally, so you might see me wearing it sometimes, if I feel like cosplaying as my own Minecraft character at this point. But yeah, it's just like a knitted jumper, kind of like the same sort of stuff as this, like wool polyester blend. Got a real difficult question for you. What's your favorite color and why? I don't really have a favorite color anymore. Am I alone in this? I find that as I'm an adult, I don't tend to pick favorites, because more often than not, I like such a range of things, like a literal spectrum in this case, that I don't tend to stick to one specific color. Like, all the branding on my YouTube channel is blue, so if I wanted to pick a straightforward answer, I'd just be like blue, I guess. But I don't really have a favorite color. There's not one color that I'll try and sneak into all of my Minecraft builds or something. Like, if you look at my Minecraft builds, my favorite color is probably brown, because I use so much wood, but, you know, that's not really what we're here for, is it? What is the best wood type and the worst wood type in my opinion? Same answer really applies to that. There are no bad blocks. And the same is true of any block in the game, whether it's, you know, you're not a fan of diorite or whatever, like I know a lot of people aren't. It's not about that for me. It's much more about how can you use them and where. I don't tend to use stuff like birch wood all that much, except in a natural context. Like, I don't tend to build out of birch logs when I'm designing the frame of a house. But that's more just because I don't have an idea of what I would want to do with a house that looked like that. And the other wood types are a bit more neutral, because brown will go with a lot of stuff. I tend to find that the best blocks in Minecraft, the ones I like using more, are the ones which have a texture that can be passed off as other stuff. And birch doesn't really. Like, anytime you place birch anywhere, it mostly looks like birch, with a couple of rare exceptions. But that's mainly to do with, like, up-close player-scale detail. That is the stuff that I've actually started moving away from and moving into larger details and stuff that can be seen from a distance. Because I think some of that stuff leads to some more interesting ideas with building and allows you to use a greater variety of blocks. But we'll talk more about that as the season advances, because there's a lot of stuff I could say about building in this game, as I'm sure you'll gather as we go on. Diorite, birch, and calcite go great together. Yeah, especially with calcite now, kind of bridging the gap between quartz and diorite in terms of level of detail in those white tone blocks. I think it's a good time to be a diorite builder. And if you look at the stuff BOO does with diorite, for example, like, it's perfectly possible to do some incredible stuff with diorite. Faux zebra skin rug with birch. Again, I don't think it looks zebra enough, though, because zebras have full stripes. You can't really do all that much with a birch log. Anyway, I digress. How many days in this world? Don't care. Like, it's not something I'm keeping track of, so it doesn't matter. Like, this isn't a hardcore world. This isn't a world where it's important for me to stay alive for a certain length of time or anything like that. Like, I don't understand why people have this idea of, like, days in Minecraft being something that you need to judge by, because you can artificially lengthen that by just not sleeping as much, right? I don't know, it's weird. I have different priorities in Minecraft, so apologies if my opinions come across as a little bit, like, abrasive. I'm not trying to shut anybody down here. I just think the days thing in Minecraft is so immaterial to me. Goats, yeah, I'm feeling great. I feel totally fine. I feel like the doctor punched me in the arm yesterday, but aside from that, no side effects. My partner is a little worse off than I am. They are relaxing and just taking it easy today. But yeah, I was expecting, because my second jab left me, like, in bed with kind of flu-like symptoms. Like, I had kind of, like, hot and cold flashes and stuff. Like, I expected to have something similar to that. But what I understand about boosted jabs is that they are, like, half a dose of vaccine. They're not even, like, necessarily a full dose. Which is good, because it also means they can get them out to more people. But also, it's just like you're getting topped up, basically. And so I think the fact that it's a smaller dose means that the effects have hit me much less than they did previously. Yeah. Second one absolutely knocked you out. It didn't quite do that for me, but I was feeling pretty rotten the following day, so I just allowed myself to rest that day. Will I start a new world after 119? No, I don't think so, at least. The idea is to keep this world going for as long as possible, much the same as it was in the original Survival Guide series. The only thing that would make me end the Survival Guide series in the first place, the only reason the Survival Guide series from Season 1 did end, was that they were planning on updating terrain to the extent that they were, where everything was going to be different. Like caves underneath existing terrain, mountains further out, that kind of stuff, and all of the terrain changing. So I thought, at that point, the early game experience, like going caving and everything, is going to be so different that for the tutorial aspect of the series, my early game caving tutorials are not going to make any sense. So it doesn't make sense to continue the series and then say, like, you know, if you're starting in Minecraft 1.18, skip ahead to episode 400 and X, you know? Like, it didn't make any sense to me. So I decided, if they change terrain to the point where, like, something about early game feels so significantly different, like where you find your first diamonds, for example, and the first video people find is my video saying, like, oh, if you strip mine at Y11, that's where all the diamonds are, and then they find nothing, it's not going to make any sense. So I decided in the end, yeah, that's when I'll reset my series. And then, of course, they delayed the caves and mountains and stuff until 1.18, and that's why I decided to do a short-lived hardcore series and 6 months of Empires. Am I going to do the 101 questions thing again? I have no idea at this point. They are very popular videos in the original series, but they're also a lot of work, and I am nowhere near the episodes numbering in the hundreds yet, so to be honest, I'm not certain. I might do, just because, again, they seem like the kind of videos that make decent views on YouTube. People really enjoyed them. So maybe. We'll see. Any plans to create a city-like industrial district in a current or future series combining building creativity and redstone industrialization? I would like to do a bit of everything in this series. Like, my plan for this series, my loose idea is that I want to build a base in every biome, or every biome that feels distinct enough. So obviously here at spawn we have regular kind of forest, we have a birch forest here. I wouldn't necessarily distinguish between, like, a birch forest and an old-growth birch forest where the trees are a little bit taller, for example. This is just a regular birch forest, for the record. But, like, I want to build a base in a mesa, in an ocean, in, you know, a jungle, in a mega taiga, or, like, old-growth spruce taiga now, or whatever, a pine taiga. Like, the names keep changing. It's so funny. But, yeah, like, I want to be able to do a variety of things in this series. And so if one of those bases ends up feeling a little bit more modern, industrial, technical, cyberpunk, whatever kind of theme we decide to go with, I think we can make it work. And I'm looking forward to seeing where the series takes us in that regard. Didn't get all of the dark oak saplings back from that one tree, did we? Unless I didn't plant as many in the first place. There's never a creeper behind me, Turtonator. I sleep every night, so creepers don't have a chance to spawn. Do I do my research for Survival Guide or rely on my existing knowledge? Bit of both, really. I rely on my existing knowledge until I realise that I don't know something, and then I go and look it up on the Minecraft wiki, or I test it in a creative test world. Which is why we made the flat world when I started out this series. Because there's definitely some stuff that I've tested there. Like, for example, I wasn't entirely certain if spawning conditions in the Nether had changed to a complete darkness is required for mob spawns, like the overworld has. It's like, it's a game-wide change. I tested that by going into the Nether, warping myself to the Nether roof in my test world, finding a warped forest biome, creating a platform that I could guarantee Enderman would spawn on at a high enough height that it wouldn't be affected by the spawns in the world below, and putting enchantment tables around the perimeter because now they emit 7 block light, and Enderman didn't spawn there. So I was like, okay, Endermen are now affected by the same light level changes they are in the overworld, which is really interesting to me. Finding diamond with the clay method still work in 1.18? I haven't tested it, but I presume not, because ore generation has completely changed. Ore distribution is different. You find ores at different levels. Honestly, just go caving. You'll find diamonds easily enough that way, in my experience. And it's going to vary, and like as soon as somebody goes through one cave and doesn't find diamonds, they're going to call me a liar. But honestly, I think it's easy enough to find diamonds if you just go caving, and then people will strip mine at whatever level they want to, and they'll probably run into some diamonds at some stage. Ultimately, like, wean yourself off diamonds is my advice, even though that's kind of weird advice for Minecraft in general. Once you have a mending set of tools, as long as you don't lose them, you don't really need diamonds for anything, and you can always trade diamond tools from villagers once we get started with the villagers. You can use glow like and it also emits level 7. I know, I just found the enchantment table thing kind of funny. I could also have used, you know, a big enough platform and a soul torch. You know, either way. So I ended up leaving out the section of the video where I was talking about Nether light levels and what they meant for mob spawns because I wasn't sure. The same is true of mob spawners. They do their light level checks based on the standard spawning algorithm, which means that mob spawners now need a complete darkness around them as well, which is really interesting. I mean, technically it's not the spawner block itself, it's that every block that it tries to spawn mobs on needs to be in complete darkness. So if you had like a small enough light source on the mob spawner block, stuff would still spawn like in the corners around it, you know? You only need 2 diamonds for an enchantment table. Villagers are way better for getting tools and armor. Exactly. I'll actually correct that. You need 3 diamonds because you need a jukebox as well. Otherwise, how are you going to get the advancements? But no, aside from that, you don't really need diamonds for anything in the game. Unless you have more requirements. And frankly, like, you wouldn't even need an enchantment table if the villagers gave you the right enchantments and enchanted books and everything else, right? Anyway, I'm talking a lot on this stream. Hope you guys are enjoying it. Salient Bofa, thank you for the 500 bits, and Skull Daisy with the 33 months. Appreciate that. Miss the chill background streams from the survival guide in your workday? Yeah. I've missed doing streams like this. It's kind of nice to give myself the freedom to do it now as well, because the beginning of survival guides is always this weird balance of, like, what do I do on camera versus what do I leave out, and are people gonna get annoyed if I end up doing a bunch of stuff off camera between episodes because they're gonna say that I just cheated resources in, or, like, I had somebody assumed that I had cheated in the sugarcane to make a bunch of paper for my enchantment setup, even though I had just set up a massive sugarcane farm next to my house. Like, someone was like, oh wow, you really went into creative to get all of that paper? I was like, no, I just waited for the sugarcane to grow and didn't leave it in the video. But people are always going to be cynical like that. People are always going to suspect you of doing some, like, off-camera trickery because it's Minecraft YouTubers. You can't trust them. Like, calm down, guys. For a start, like, this is not as high stakes as you think it is. But also, I find it kind of strange that, like, yeah, I just built all of this sugarcane, which I don't harvest super frequently, and eventually I'll set up an automatic sugarcane farm, but for now I just needed to wait long enough for the sugarcane to be there, and it was. There was talk of spawners being more difficult with the update. They needed light level 15. I think light level was 13. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, they didn't do that in the end. That was part of the experimental snapshots. And a lot of the stuff in the experimental snapshots, like the changes to elytra speed and things like that, were ultimately left out of the full release of 1.18 because it was decided after some community feedback that they needed reconsidering. And I do think that with the amount of feedback they got over mob spawning changes in those experimental snapshots, they'll probably end up looking at changing mob spawning at some stage. Both for parity with Bedrock Edition, because obviously Bedrock has a lot of differences with mob spawns, and that generates a lot of communication issues when people are talking about mob spawning in a more general sense with Minecraft. But also that the mob cap in Java Minecraft fills up with 128 blocks below you, and you don't get as much difficulty, like, nearer the player. So you end up finding that all of the mobs spawn in caves instead of spawning on the surface when it gets to nighttime, and there's like 3 mobs out here to deal with. Which actually feels a little bit more like Bedrock Edition, actually. Got confused about mob spawning rules? Yeah, it's one of the more arcane and esoteric aspects of Minecraft that is useful to know, but is different for everybody. It's different between single player and multiplayer, it's different between Java and Bedrock, it's probably different between Bedrock single player and multiplayer as well, for all I know. Nags Head Nut, thank you so much for gifting that sub to Rollcats. And Mohammed, thank you so much for the 100 bits as well. Appreciate that very much. I think I also missed a sub from Happy Crafter. Thank you, Happy Crafter, for 19 months. For an XP farm, for example, can you use the new glass to limit light level? Yes, I mean, tinted glass blocks light in the same way that any other block does. So, like, I could use tinted glass. I could also use cobblestone. You know, the difference is you can see into an XP farm if you want to be able to, using tinted glass. But then it all depends whether you need to see in there or not. It would certainly help in terms of, like, observation in, say, a spider farm, for example, to make sure they're not climbing the walls once you've put in the trapdoors or whatever you use. Do I use OBS or something else? Yeah, I use OBS. Right now I'm still using... Actually, I'm still technically using Streamlabs, but I'm planning on migrating to OBS in the new year. OBS historically gave me weird issues with encoding overloads, but that should no longer be the case on this PC. And then it's about migrating all of my alerts and stuff over to Stream Elements or a company that is more ethically in line with what I would prefer. Will I return to Empires? Yes. I mentioned this earlier on the stream. Empires is not done. I just wanted to make sure Survival Guide got a really good start, and I can make daily videos of Survival Guide, whereas a lot more effort has to go into a single Empires episode, which means, you know, all of my attention goes into one thing instead of making a video every day for people to watch. Yeah. Hopefully that explains some of it. OBS crashes your game occasionally while changing scenes. Yeah, OBS has its issues, of course, but so does any streaming software, really. It's a dark art. Okay, I think we're good for Junglewood for now. I at least want to get, like, a good handful of stacks of each of these. Like, Junglewood and Spruce. Spruce is my favorite, as we know, so I'll use that as a utility wood for most of the series, probably. But Jungle is good to have, too. Happy Crafter with the 20 bucks. Happy holidays if you celebrate any, and thank you for Survival Guide 2. Well, thank you so much. And Nag's Head Nut also with 100 Corgos as well. Appreciate the Corgos. Why not add a pressure plate inside after the... Oh, in the storage room? Main reason is because I designed this kind of weird, and this is stairs, not a full block. But also, I don't really like using pressure plates all that much. I put them in the fishing shack just to demonstrate them for the series, but typically I close doors manually behind myself as a habit, and I'm fine with that. Like, I never had a problem with it. Oh, hi. Some pillagers. I haven't really messed with these guys too much in this series yet. Luckily, I don't have villagers around, so it's okay for me to kill the captain, but I'm actually not going to, because, yeah, there we go. I think the first time you get Bad Omen is an advancement, and I want to do that in the main series, so we'll just kill them for now. That's them taken care of, I guess. Must have a composter somewhere to grow trees faster. Nope, not yet. Haven't introduced composters to the main series, so I'm not going to be using them on streams until I do. But really all you need to do is go back and forth between trees as you plant them. Like, they'll grow naturally pretty fast. Vinox, never apologize for that. You don't need to worry about it. It's, never a requirement. Deb Constructor, thank you for the $10. And Sea Turtle with the 100 bits as well. Thank you all so much for the generosity today, folks. It's lovely to be back streaming from the Survival Guides. I hope you folks are enjoying the main series on YouTube, of course. Composters grow crops around them faster. No, they're talking about being able to grow stuff with bone meal, which you get from composters. At least I think so, unless there was an aspect of composters I was not aware of. There are a couple of weird things like that that I never really noticed about Minecraft. And this goes back to, like, what I was saying earlier about the myths that come up in the community about sugarcane growing faster on sand, which is a myth. Oh, we have an ominous banner now. I guess I'll just put that over here. Yeah, the stuff I'm learning occasionally, like the fact that fire protection decreases not only the damage you take from fire, but the time you're on fire after that. That's something I never knew, because I never bothered with fire protection. I just got, like, overall protection on everything. But yeah, if you have fire protection on one piece of armor, you're not on fire for as long when you step out of lava, which is actually really useful. It does that as well. It's on the Minecraft wiki, look it up. Did you know, and this is something we've covered in a previous stream, like we've mentioned this, Bane of Arthropods inflicts slowness 4 on spiders when you hit them. If you put, like, Bane of Arthropods 5, it will inflict slowness 4 on a spider, which never matters, because the spider's dead in one hit if you've got Bane of Arthropods 5 anyway. But say, for example, you hit a spider without, like, sweeping edge on your sword. You hit 3 spiders with one swing. The 2 on either side only took a little bit of damage, even though you had Bane of Arthropods 5. Those 2 get a slowness effect. Nobody knows that, because nobody uses Bane of Arthropods, but it's just something... It's like one of those little behind-the-scenes details that are coming out in the production of this series because my audience is more knowledgeable and because people bring stuff like that to my attention, or I read an article of the Minecraft wiki cover to cover for something and I realize that I've missed an aspect of Minecraft that I just never really noticed. It does mean we need an arthropod boss. Exactly. Give us a giant, I don't know, cockroach or something to fight. Bring a cockroach down from the sun and have us fight it. I don't know, just like... give us some reason to have Bane of Arthropods on a thing. Make the Wither an arthropod for its second phase. I don't know. Imagine if the Wither, mid-fight, sprouted 4 legs and just started crawling at you. That'd be terrifying. I need it. Somebody mod that in. Wither's third phase, cockroach mode. Scorpions. Yeah, scorpions got added in from by Dr. Zark's mod, Mo Creatures. Mohammed, thanks so much for that Prime sub. Appreciate that very much. Enjoy your emotes and your sub badge. Welcome to the Pixels. Don't make a cockroach Pixels joking, am I though? Alright, we're gonna... Actually, we'll leave a couple of spruce trees here, because if I end up showing this in the video, I'll be like, hey look, I'm farming trees over here. One of the things I want to make sure I do in my videos is be a bit more transparent about how much behind-the-scenes work gets done on streams, just so people don't panic. Because people will panic on occasion. So I want to make sure I let people know, hey, this is happening on streams, it's fine. And maybe show some of the effects of that on the world. Alright, we now have enough spruce wood, so that's totally fine. Excuse me. We'll have enough jungle to fill that up as well. I might put the spruce at the end of here because I won't gather that much birch, because I don't typically build with it. What's the best mob to farm in Minecraft? Top 3. Top 3 probably zombie pigmen, just for the XP and the gold. Enderman for ender pearls, and again, pretty good for XP. And then, honestly, creepers, because gunpowder. Gunpowder is useful for so many things. It's one of those things that, now we have elytra and firework boosting and stuff, you pretty much constantly need gunpowder in late game. Not to mention TNT for things like blast mining for netherite and whatnot. What's my plan for the next video? I've already recorded tomorrow's episode. We're doing an episode all about potion brewing, since we've now been to the nether and we have blaze rods and nether wart. It seemed like the thing to do. Hey, is Bruno in here? What's up, Bruno? Where is that man? Survival Guide Hype. Watched the first Diamonds video yesterday. Really enjoyable. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of information that people are very familiar with when it comes to the potion brewing stuff, but then I go into demonstrating how some of it can be used. And of course, water-breathing potions are a little bit more valuable now that there are flooded caves in the game that can contain a lot more resources, because the game doesn't count resources that spawn in drowned areas, like in waterlogged areas, as exposed to the air. So it's more likely to find diamonds in deep slate layers that way without having to strip mine if you're swimming around an aquifer. The problem is when you get down that far, aquifers are mostly lava. But yeah, I ended up taking a water-breathing potion, diving into like one of these lakes, and it goes down to like negative coordinates. Like it's a big cave system down there, and I've discovered a couple of things that I really want to explore in Thursday's episode. So we'll see how we do that. What is the world seed? It's in the description of every survival guide video. So this is already out there. This is not new information, but I'll put it in the chat for everybody. World seed like so. Please do not spoil any coordinates to any locations like strongholds or anything like that. I do not want to hear it, and the mods will ban you if you do it in the chat, so please don't. I'll also delete comments like that from my YouTube videos regularly, because honestly I'll forget the coordinates once I see them, but it's much more about having a unique and authentic experience of the world, instead of having people tell me where everything is, where like villages are and stuff like that. I don't need to know that. It's the kind of stuff that I find joy in discovering around the world myself. So please don't. Thank you. Even joking about it will probably get you banned, because the mods don't know who's joking and who's not. Nag said, "Nut, thank you for 5 gifted subs. Really appreciate that." Linus with a Prime sub as well. Thank you so much, Linus. Enjoy your emotes and your sub badge. Welcome to the Pixels. Thank you for using your one and only Twitch Prime on my channel. Have netherite and have never messed with potions. Still looking for nether warts, so I'll greatly appreciate the potion brewing episode. Yeah, I am kind of debating at what point I want to introduce netherite to people. Because I don't want to be, like, rushing the progression. Obviously, we've been to the nether now. Like, it's something that we could do. But I also don't want to leap straight into having the best armor in the game, you know? It's kind of the reason that I haven't done more enchanting at this stage. That and I don't have a proper XP farm. But it seems a little bit like you're running before you learn to walk, if you see what I mean. Like, it seems weird having netherite before we even have, like, a mob spawner-based XP farm, for example. I've covered other ways to get XP. We're getting XP from, like, mining quartz in the nether and stuff now. We've got a blaze spawner that I can get to pretty regularly. But, like, still, I'm very curious when we'll end up touching on netherite, because I don't know if it'll be anytime soon. Maybe after the dragon fight? That's the thing, though, because some people will want to have the best armor they can going into the dragon fight so they take less damage. And netherite has better armor toughness. So I'm interested to see where people's opinions lie on that, and what I eventually end up doing. No point in netherite until you have villager trading. That's another thing, right? Like, I've introduced so many villager workstations as things that aren't villager workstations. Like, we've already covered the stone cutter, a brewing stand, I made a cauldron, we've got, like, barrels literally everywhere, we have a smoker and a blast furnace up there. For people who aren't that familiar with Minecraft since 1.14, it's potentially going to blow people's minds that they can use all of these workstations for, like, villager professions and things. We'll see. Newman, thanks so much for the Prime sub. Nags Head Nut, thank you for the Tier 1 sub. Welcome to the community. Appreciate that very much. Took you hours to find a nether fortress in your seed. Found a mending villager and netherite faster. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. The episode after the dragon fight is when you introduce netherite. I think it'd be good to have netherite and elytra near each other in the series, as they're both very endgame gear. That's certainly an option. I also don't know how long it's going to be until I do the dragon fight, because the dragon fight seems like the objective for a lot of people, right? Like, so many people play Minecraft to beat the dragon, because that's, like, the boss of the game. That's sort of their end game objective. And so on my, I think it was episode 25 of Survival Guide Season 1, I beat the dragon, and then people were like, well, okay, now what are you going to do? There's nothing left to do in the game. I was like, are you serious? The game is just beginning. But,
well, that's just prime.
Yeah, I'm interested in how natural it feels to go and fight the dragon at certain points in the series. Like, I'm not gonna, now that we've got blaze powder, I'm not gonna go and fight the dragon this week, even though I very clearly could. If I had a decent source of ender pearls, which I don't. But I could go and find some endermen in caves, you know? Like, I could search until, I still haven't found a warped forest in the nether. I could search until I found a warped forest. But, yeah, I think it's really just gonna be about, waiting until it feels natural. I'm actually gonna start farming azalea instead of oak. Even though you need bone meal for it, I think azalea is just better. Fight me. Usually don't like building before beating the dragon. Usually play on hardcore. Yeah, I think when it comes to building, that's another thing. Like, if you want to be able to move large quantities of resources somewhere, it just makes logical sense to go and get shulker boxes to a player that has any prior experience with Minecraft. But I'm having to pitch my series to people who don't. And so, a lot of the time you'll find the things that feel the most logical to do in a certain order after you've played the game for a while are going to seem completely illogical to players who are still relatively fresh with this game. Alright, that's it for our bone meal, so those two azaleas are not going to grow. Azalea takes so much less bone meal than oak, and I have no idea why. Literally had a panic attack fighting the dragon my first time after 700 days in a world, and in a hardcore world. Yeah, it's rough if you lose a world to the dragon. But as I have been quoted as saying on several occasions, there are no good deaths in Minecraft. There is nothing in this game that is guaranteed to take you out. Us newbies appreciate that perspective. Well, I'm glad. It's kind of the whole reason I'm doing what I'm doing. Let's get the shears, which I usually keep in this barrel, because I find that sometimes I just leave these tools in my inventory, like shears and the hose and flint and steel and stuff, when I'm not going to use them. But because I think, oh, that'll be useful if I run into this or that, and then I end up with like 3 inventory spaces left, and I'm like, hello? Please implement bundles. Err on the side of slower. Anyone who wants you to rush for shulkers, elytra, netherite, etc. knows how to get that already. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It's so funny seeing people share their perspectives on whether they think I'm taking the series too slow or too fast. And more often than not, the people who think I'm going too fast are the people who already know how to play this game. I'm like, what would you have me do at this point? Is it me that knocked off the end dimension flying machine in Empires? Yes. Yes, it was me. Or it was the Copper King. For plausible deniability, it was I was in character at the time, officer. When am I going to farm slime? Oh, that's going to be a while from now. Like, I only have 1 slime ball left because, spoiler alert, I turned some a slime ball and some blaze powder the other day into some magma cream. Because that's a crafting recipe people forget about until it becomes very, very useful to them. But, yeah, I have 1 slime ball left. So I'll probably need some at some stage. But that is the only slime ball I have left in my possession. So we still need some dark oak. We should probably start farming acacia. Just for the sake of having some more. I was hoping that it was dark enough for me to sleep then, but it was not. How do we feel about the rain, chat? I'm going to check in periodically with people about this because I'm okay with it for now. The fact that you get rain even if you sleep regularly, which never used to be the case because sleeping always used to reset the weather cycle. I think it's good. I think it feels more natural, but man, it's annoying when YouTube videos need to be made. Like, the amount of times I've actually... I mean, maybe not too many times, actually, but I've already got to the point where once or twice I have waited out the rain. Like, I have... It started raining as soon as a new day begins. I wait for 10 minutes, I sleep, and then I make the video because the rain is just... a little irritating. Plays merry hell with video compression, let me tell you. When playing, I love the rain, but I completely understand it when making videos. Yeah, I think it's the kind of thing that you don't need to worry too much about it, unless it turns into a thunderstorm. But, yeah, for video stuff, it's a little bit of a shame, because it's not just about the video compression stuff either. It's like, sometimes you want a video to have a certain mood, and rain and grey weather and everything, like, I know this as an Englishman, dampens the mood, no pun intended. It really does. Like, you want to have a video where the sun is out and you're trying to explain fun new concepts of the game, and then it rains, and you automatically associate rain with, like, a slightly more downbeat mood. So on occasions like that, I will absolutely, like, wait for 10 minutes and sleep the rain away. Does it rain more in 1.18 than any other versions? I guess so. I mean, technically speaking, it wouldn't rain any more in 1.18 than other versions if you didn't sleep. But in other versions, when you sleep for the night, regardless of whether it's raining or not, the weather cycle resets to basically day 1. And you don't end up with any more, you end up, like, basically sleeping the rain away every time you sleep. Whereas now, you have to wait for it to get dark and sleep. when it's raining. And that is the only time that sleeping will get rid of the rain. That and during thunderstorms. But, like, rain will happen even if you've slept during a regular day. I'm not explaining that very well, but it makes sense. Am I planning any other Minecraft series? Currently, no. Aside from continuing Empires when I have the time and motivation to do so. I'm not planning any other Minecraft series at this time. A lot of people are interested in seeing another run of Skyblock, but I left Skyblock alone after 1.16 because I just got tired of how grindy stuff is in Skyblock. And I found previously that it works a lot better for me on YouTube if I stick to making videos from one series, because then my audience isn't split between, like, 2 different series constantly, and I don't get people on one video asking me where the other type of videos are, you know? If everyone stays focused on one series, then I think we can have a more coherent community experience. Bearded Jimmy, thank you for the 4 months. Bestie Jacob, thank you for the 7. Ali Jubilee with the 10 months as well. Thank you all so much for the resubs. Appreciate you sticking around. Are any copper blocks turned? There are a couple on the back half of the house. You can't really see them from this side. But there's a couple on the back half of the house which are now exposed copper, which is the second stage, the pink one. So yeah, they haven't got as far as weathered or oxidized yet. And I'm not saying I'll never do another Skyblock series again. Like, I might do one in future. But I'm not going to come out the gate with Minecraft Survival Guide and another series. At least not right now. It splits my effort and attention and stuff, and so I get that kind of choice paralysis where I should be working on one, but I need to work on the other, and, like, eventually it just becomes a detriment to me making videos, which is not what I want. There, that's the only copper oxidation that's happened in this whole build. Is just around that side. Oh, and there's one over here. That's new. That one hasn't happened yet. Have I ever considered playing minigames like Bed Wars and stuff? I play a bit of Minecraft Bingo, but I'm not that interested in PvP minigames because my combat skills in Minecraft are lacking, and a lot of the time on those servers they're on, like, older versions of Minecraft, or, you know, it's just not my cup of tea. It's not really my kind of gameplay style. Even when I played Destiny back on Destiny 1 on the PS4, I only played Crucible when I had absolutely no choice. Like, I don't really like playing against other people, because when it's the game, I feel smart, because the game behaves in predictable ways, and I feel like I can outsmart it. I can't outsmart other people, because I'm just a dude with average to minimal tactical ability. I feel like if it's a zombie, I feel like I can outsmart it, and it makes me feel good about myself. If I'm playing against other people, then they're usually much better than I am, and no thank you. When do I think I'll be done with the museum? I've made a bit of progress over the holidays, but really it's difficult to make progress on that. Again, it's the same thing I was saying about having multiple YouTube series running at the same time. It feels like there's a weird amount of guilt involved with making a survival guide video when I'm like, I still haven't finished the museum, and I said I was going to get it done by July, and it's now December, and, like, I wanted to get it done by Christmas so I could give it to people as a Christmas present. I haven't done it then, and I want to be able to get it done for New Year, but, like, and at that point I just start to feel, like, annoyed with myself, and that's not a good mental headspace to be making creative decisions for either the museum or this series. So I'm trying to not feel guilty about it, and that just means it's going to take as long as it takes. Can't I build up the rest of the museum in creative? I am. But it still takes a while, because guess what? To have something look good, I still have to be good at building it. And some days I just don't have the mojo. Some days, like, I'm not really a creative builder. And the museum is so big, it's just bigger than anything that I've ever done. And so, like, yeah, it was tremendously optimistic that I was going to be able to do what I wanted to do in survival in the first place. But now I'm trying to figure out ways to make it look like a coherent, architecturally sound building, whilst also having it contain a reproduction of an end city and a bastion. I'm like, this thing just looks huge. And it's, yeah, it's absurd. Do I live around London? I do not, Becky, I do not. I live in Brighton on the south coast. Person has only so many spell slots before they're tapped out. Exactly, and like I'm getting by on cantrips. Getting by on cantrips, and I need a long rest. Would I consider help on the museum, like opening up to someone to collaborate like Pearl or Gem? For a start, like, I wouldn't want to assume that anybody like Pearl or Gem would be able to spare the time with how busy they are.
Well, that's just prime.
But also, like, I want the survival guide world to feel like it was a single-player world all along. I want it to feel like my own effort. And honestly, I learn more stuff building my own thing, you know? So, yeah, like, I'm not really looking for help in getting it finished. If anything, what I would end up doing is releasing an incomplete world and being like, hey, just finish this yourself, guys. Like, have fun building on what, like, the foundations that I laid or whatever. But I still want to finish the museum. It's my stubbornness coming through at this point, frankly. But people are going to have to be okay with that. Isbab, thanks so much for that brand new Prime sub to the channel. Enjoy your emotes and your sub badge. Welcome to the Pixels. You are 1 in a million. I appreciate the support. Thank you. What's taking more time, building or making the written books for the museum? Oh, the books are, like, out of scope at this point. Like, I'm not even doing the books. I might do 1 or 2 of them. But I think, if anything, I'll do, like, more like a couple of books for an entire room rather than... What I was considering doing when I made the grass block exhibit was, like, individual books explaining what each block was. And I'm like, you can just go and read the Minecraft wiki if you want to. Like, at this stage, it was a fun idea. And if anything, like, when I introduce concepts like that into a series, it's not because I mean to follow them through myself from start to finish. It's a lot more like, here is something that you guys can do. Archeo Plays, thank you for converting your Prime Gaming to a Tier 1. It's much more about, like, here is an idea, and then you guys can take this and do what you want with it. It's a way of demonstrating something which might never appear in my own videos again, but it's about showing people what can be done, basically. Why are these acacia trees not... I was going to call them azaleas, but they're not azaleas. Why are these acacia trees not growing? Like, you guys don't need bone meal. Get to it. Fluttering Unicorn with the 15 months of Prime. Thank you so much. Am I going to release a world download once the season ends? Of Season 2? Maybe. I don't know yet. I don't know what state it's going to be in when it ends. I mean, I would like to, but there's always weird issues with world downloads. Like, it's either I want to get something finished and then I commit to something that I probably shouldn't have committed to, or, you know, I end up releasing it, and then, like, Fwip has had this happen to him a couple of times where other people will, like, take screenshots of his builds and try and pass them off as their own on, like, Minecraft communities online and stuff. It's just weird. I don't like that stuff. It's like right now, Jono, Rendog's brother, is having issues with other people uploading his music to Spotify and claiming it as their own work, and they're trying to get that resolved with Spotify right now, and it basically involves DMCAing whoever's doing it. Which, yeah, it sucks, but, like, yeah, people trying to pass this stuff off as their own is a problem. And it's not something that I want, like, a couple of people to spoil it for everybody else, you know? But sometimes you just got to take stuff like that into consideration before you promise to give out your last 3 years' worth of work to someone, you know? Don't I think Twitch is so much better than YouTube Live? Yeah, I much prefer streaming on Twitch. I've tried streaming on YouTube in the past, and, like, for what it's worth at the time, it might have been a good decision. I learned a lot about streaming in the process. One of the things I learned was that I don't really like the YouTube streaming interface very much. But I will still be uploading all of these streams to my VODs channel, youtube.com/pixelvods, and hopefully people will enjoy them there. Reaction to finding the Nether Fortress today was amazing. Thank you. Yeah, I almost considered cutting some of that and being like, well, we found a fortress, but then I decided to leave the original reaction in the video because I thought it was just funny. Am I going to find another Nether Fortress? Probably at some stage, yeah. I think finding one in a Soul Sand Valley is the ideal scenario for a Wither Skeleton farm, so we might do that similar to what we did in the original Survival Guide world, but yeah, I don't know for certain where we'll find it and when, and that'll probably be when we have Elytra and we can fly around the nether and everything, so we'll see. We'll see where it goes. Doctor83, welcome in. Good to see you. Hope you're well. Reminded me of the way you found the spider dungeon in episode 3 of season 1. Yeah, the stuff that I'm like, I promise I haven't staged this. There's like, all I can do is be like, this is pure luck, and this is what happens to you when you play Minecraft occasionally. The game just hands you stuff on a silver plate. And you're like, silver's not in the game, why isn't this on copper? Finding one in the Soul Sand Valley or Lava Lake Best Fortress? Yeah, the Soul Sand Valleys are good because you can get piglins into the Wither Skeleton farm a little easier, I find. Not caught up on YouTube yet, so you haven't seen the fishing shack or the nether in this world. We're not going to the nether today, so yeah, if you haven't caught up on that, then there won't be too many spoilers. I'm just chopping wood today. There's our acacia tree. Finally. And now we get 7 wood from this, and we go back to waiting for it to grow again. No, we're getting a little bit more than that. 17 wood. Alright, didn't realize I was holding my shears at the time, but we could fortune the leaves maybe, I don't know. Probably don't need to. Well, we have at least 1 sapling back, so that's good news. We can farm this renewably. That is a very tall acacia, though. Yeah, that was a big lad. A big lad. What's the advantage of cave spider farms? Proximity of spawners. Because they all have to generate within the confines of an abandoned mine shaft, and therefore, typically, you can get more than 1 spawner in a close enough range that they can all spawn stuff from whatever position you're standing. And if you find a double spawner of any other kind, I think it's preferable to multiple cave spider spawners, but it makes it easier to farm XP and string when you can have like potentially as many as 6 or even 8 cave spider spawners in one place. I think in my case I maybe have 2 or 3 that can be activated within range, but yeah, for the most part I don't think I have all 4 in close enough proximity to each other. I found 4 in that mine shaft, but that's not the same as them all being able to activate at once. Double blaze spawners aren't too unusual to find. That is true. Can you fortune bookshelves? No. You cannot fortune anything that you can use what you get to craft it back into what it is. That's such a weird, awkward way of saying that. Basically, because you turn books into bookshelves with like some extra wood, you can't then break that bookshelf down for more books, because then it would be an infinite loop and you'd just be able to make as many bookshelves as you wanted from having 3 books. That's not how the game works. So bookshelves aren't a resource block in that way. And when you fortune glowstone, it doesn't drop more than 4 glowstone dust, because you need 4 to craft it back into the block. So like you could never have glowstone drop 5 glowstone dust. You can do it with librarians, though. You can do what with librarians? Convert books into emeralds and then buy more bookshelves? Yeah, but that at least involves a middle ground medium and a little bit of rejigging the trade prices by zombifying them. So it takes work to be able to farm bookshelves to that quantity. Whereas, like, you don't want somebody with a fortune axe and a bookshelf to be able to produce infinite books. You can't recycle something and get more of that material from recycling it. Exactly. Like, that's the kind of gameplay loop they iron out in snapshots. You can fortune crops, yes, but you still have to grow crops. And again, crops are meant to be multiplied. That's kind of their purpose. You plant a carrot, it grows more carrots. That's how crops work. That's sort of the whole point behind food in Minecraft, actually. Speaking of food, I need to top up the steak. I did get a lot of pork chops from killing hoglins in the nether, though, so we're okay for a little while. Matt Sims, thank you for the 9 months. We also had Shadow Star and Burundar with the 4 and the 6. Appreciate everybody who's hosting the channel as well. Sorry if I don't call those out all the time, but I do appreciate it nonetheless. Infinite crops just from farming crops. I know, right? It's almost like agriculture exists. Yeah, not quite the exploit that we're expecting. Is Netherwart fortunable? It is, yes. Because it's a crop. Alright, those can go there. We're done farming dark oak woods. We have a little bit of acacia. And I'm going to run to the bathroom because as per the instructions of the people who gave me my COVID booster yesterday, I should drink lots of water today. And so I have been doing that. Be right back. Hello. Sorry, I just had to close my blinds. It's dark outside. It was dark for one less minute today, though, so I'm happy with that. Let's turn the music back down. There we go. Like the jumper pattern, I do as well. This is also very, very cozy. It kind of reminds me of the tattoos they have in Final Fantasy 13, but still. Eventually, this jumper turns into crystal. How am I feeling from my booster? I'm fine. Like, I'm probably, like... I don't know... 20... Yeah, I'm about 24 hours after having had it. I have, like, a little bit of stiffness in my upper arm. But aside from that, I'm fine. Which booster did I get? I got Pfizer. Because my first two were Moderna, and they like to mix them for greater efficacy, apparently. That's what I'm learning. Alright, an acacia tree has grown. I didn't pause the world because I figured probably want an acacia tree. Can I explain how to kill a ghast for starter players? Yes, I will. When I see a ghast in the nether, but with the Strider trip around the nether, I expected to run into a ghast, and thankfully I didn't. So once we get out into a Soul Sand Valley in a future episode, I'm sure I'll be able to cover the return to sender methods. Let's get that hoe out of the barrel over here. What's my favorite block and biome and least favorite? I don't really have any least favorite blocks. I was explaining this on stream earlier, but I think all blocks in Minecraft are good. You just have to find the right things to use them in. And sometimes I don't have good ideas, but I don't think that's necessarily a problem with the block. It's more of a problem with me. So I don't really have a favorite or least favorite block. My favorite biome, at least in Minecraft 1.18, is the sparse jungle biome, which used to be the jungle edge biome. There's a more rare biome in previous updates, and is now a lot more common. You find it around the edges of jungles. I really like the grass color of jungles, but they're so hard to clear all of the leaves and stuff out from the forest floor, and the trees always take ages to chop down. But sparse jungle is relatively free of that stuff, which means it's probably going to be a really nice biome to build in. Watched a video this morning, still can't find a nether fortress anywhere in your world. I honestly think just riding around lava lakes on a strider is a good call, but if worst comes to worst, there are tools that help you look that stuff up, and I honestly think if it hampers your enjoyment of the game to the point where you're like, I don't want to play Minecraft anymore if I can't find a nether fortress and it's a single player world, just you can look it up. Like I'm not going to call stuff like that cheating, because we'll probably cover it later in the series. I'm not planning on doing it right away, but it's useful to have tools that help you look up stuff in your worlds. People do it all the time before they've even loaded a world, just to see if there is a convenient biome near spawn or a quad witch hut in their world or anything like that. There's a lot of different reasons to look that stuff up, and if honestly it's just like, I would enjoy the game better if I was able to look this up, then, you know, that's up to you, really. Does fishing in sparse jungle give you jungle loot? Yes, jungle loot is just bamboo, though. Or cocoa beans if you play on bedrock. But, yeah, it's not really hugely worth it unless you haven't been able to find bamboo yet. Which, if you're in a jungle, especially in this world generation, you can probably find some bamboo. I believe in you. Let's put all the saplings up there so they're all in the same place. We've got a lot of birch, though. And now we've got a full stack of vines. Exciting times. How do you check a seed without loading it? If you download a program called Amidst on PC, if you use chunkbase.com to look stuff up online, there are a few different tools like that that exist, which should now be updated for 1.18 World Gen. Alternatively, you can just load up a world and use the /locate command, or locate biome if you're looking for a biome. But that's not something I'm planning on doing in this series until we've found all of that stuff, you know, throughout the course of normal gameplay. Dragwolf, thank you very much for the 3 months. Appreciate that. Thank you. How hard is it to go super slow with the series because it's a guide when you can just go all out beating the dragon in 2-3 days? That's not the way I prefer to play anyway. So, for me, not that difficult, it turns out. I think if people are more used to the speedrunning vibe, then they'd probably struggle with it more than I do. But personally, I find it much more fun playing the game a little more slowly. Which world is this? Definitely not Survival Guide? It's definitely Survival Guide. Only really considering using chunk base when you need to find a mushroom island. Yeah, that's another thing. Like, you can roam all the oceans of your world and you've probably, like, rode in circles around a mushroom island and just not found it or something. You know, there's stuff like that where you're like, oh, it was there the whole time? And yeah, that stuff gets a little annoying. Wish Bedrock allowed trees to grow so close together. I think it allows it with certain types of trees, but not others. Like, I think oak trees are fine like this, but giant spruce trees, you have to grow them far apart or something. Please enchant my sword? No. The reason I'm not enchanting anything on these streams, like I still have an unenchanted chest plate, sword, shovel. I don't have 30 levels for a start, and I'm not interested in getting XP on this stream, but also I want to make sure that stuff happens on camera on YouTube videos instead of here on streams. So if you have a problem with that, I'm sorry, you will continue to have a problem with that until I decide to do it. Season might be a perfect chance to make the Dwarven Kingdom. It might well. There are many options. And I do want to make a base in the underground biomes as well, in my plan to make a base in every biome in this series. So it's probably going to include lush caves, dripstone caves, that kind of stuff. Old Abs Milliard. Absimilliard, I don't know. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Either way, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. And hopefully I didn't butcher your name too hard. Wolf Reiko, thank you for the 4 months as well. Appreciate that. Am I going to be building a mountain range again? I'm probably going to be finding a mountain range and maybe modifying it. But there are many other things to do. So yeah, I don't know. Depends how much terraforming I want to do. Like, it would be fun to terraform some stuff around this area at some stage. Like, I don't know what I want to do yet. I think I am more likely to build cliffs than mountains. Because there's a lot of cool waterscapes around this area. The area I've been thinking of as the Riverlands for the last little while. And, yeah, we could do some cool stuff with that, but it's not necessarily like a mountain range terraforming kind of thing. Netherite beacon? Maybe. At the very least, we'll make a tier 1 beacon out of netherite. I think that's probably the most I can aspire to right now, because, again, lots of other stuff to do. Do I have a go-to block palette? There's a few, but I'm trying to branch out from some of it and not rely on, let me just build with stone brick and spruce wood. Like, I want to go a little bit more creative and show people my more recent philosophy of there are no bad blocks. In case people struggle with that kind of stuff themselves. I don't want to get stuck into a rut, you know? The same for building a castle, the same for, you know, any of that other stuff. I want to make sure that I'm showing people a bit more of a spectrum of stuff that can be done in Minecraft instead of just defaulting to the same stuff people always build. I would love to build a castle at some stage. I think I learned a lot from building the first castle and would put a lot of really interesting stuff to work in building another, but again, we'll try and find biomes that inspire us to do certain things, and then from there we'll figure out what we're going to do with them. Fessler, thank you so much for 21 months. Acacia, Desperate, and Cyan Terracotta. I'm not sure what that block is. What is Desperate? Are we deep slate? Are we talking deep slate or dripstone? That was probably an autocorrect that I could not decipher, and I've had my share of experience deciphering autocorrects. Deep slate. There we go. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Okay. That makes more sense. Somebody else in chat typed deep slate in one of their messages, and I was like, I think that's probably what you meant. But that's really funny. If you're desperate, go for deep slate. I'm looking forward to doing stuff like moss mining as well, like some stuff that's a little bit more more technical, but in a newer way that people haven't really done a great deal of in Minecraft yet, in survival worlds. Like, I'm sure many people already have, but yeah, in the videos that I've watched, I haven't seen many people adopting that as a possibility yet. Do I have a Discord server? I do, but it's shutting down soon because it's tied to my Patreon server, and my Patreon is closing down before the new year. In fact, I'm probably going to do most of the admin for that tomorrow. So, no, I don't currently have a community Discord server. I don't really have any plans to open one either, because it requires a lot of attention and moderation and stuff. And one of the things I want to do in the next year is cut down on the amount of stuff that is a drain on my time, so I can focus on the stuff that's really important to me, like making Survival Guide. Why survival and not hardcore? I mean, hardcore is survival, you just have one life. And I personally see no point in making a tutorial series in a world that I could lose at any time due to a silly mistake. I tried that with the hardcore survival guide, and guess what? I was incredibly afraid to make any mistakes lest the series end prematurely and I had to start again. I don't want to end up making the same tutorial videos over and over again. I also don't want to have to put in 2 weeks of work to get back to the place where we were if I don't want to make those tutorial videos again. So hardcore is just not the right choice for this. Like, if I was streaming something exclusively on Twitch, if I had a world that I only ever played on Twitch, and every minute of it was broadcast so that I never made any off-camera progress, and I was just constantly making Twitch streams from a world, then I can see the point of that being hardcore. But there is always the point, there's always the, like, the eventuality, the possibility of me having put down a nether portal in this world. I come back to my house, it's late, a creeper walks into the portal that I don't notice. I walk through to the nether. By the time the nether's loaded in, I've blown up. And then I have to just start again, based on, like, a silly mistake. And people will backseat all day and say, like, well, just put some fence gates in front of the portal. This wouldn't have happened if you'd done this, this, and this. And it's like, yeah, well, sometimes Minecraft is about making silly mistakes like that and the stories that you can tell as a result. I don't really feel like making those stories also hinge on whether or not I can continue to make a living. I also think as far as trends go, hardcore is on a bit of a decline just because everybody does it now, so hardcore is just default Minecraft to some people, and for me it's really not default Minecraft. Also, like, hardcore dramatically affects the pace of what I would do in a series like this, because I obviously want the best protection I can possibly get for myself, and so I would instantly go to, like, okay, we need to get diamonds, and then after that we need to get netherite, and make sure everything is, like, maxed out on enchants, and that changes the pace of gameplay for people who are just playing along with the series in normal survival Minecraft. I only find permadeath fun if it takes a few hours or less to be done with a playthrough of a game. Yeah, like, you know, roguelikes and stuff. There's elements of that. There are obviously, like, elements of roguelikes. There's elements of roguelike gameplay in Minecraft in that you can die, you lose all your items. Permadeath is an option. But Minecraft is a sandbox, so I don't like playing it that way. We have nearly 2 stacks of acacia, which is more than I normally want. So I think we're doing okay with that. We'll put a stack of it in here, and then we'll put the rest over there. Because what I want this to be is, like, a stack of woods, and then wood byproducts, right? So planks, slabs, fences, all of that junk. Having a hard time in 1.18. What are you having a hard time with? Died in 5 hardcore worlds, now I've become a pro and I have a set of netherite armor and tools, including the hoe. Congratulations on your netherite hoe. Serious dedication. I had to farm a shulker full of acacia the other day. It was a royal pain. I think by the time you get to farming shulkers worth of stuff, I think just having a bone meal farm is likely at that point, and then you can just grow acacia in rows like this and harvest it all as one relatively solid block. But even then, yeah, the branches out to either side are a little tough to mess with. So we've gone from 2 acacia saplings to, like, basically half a stack, so I'm quite happy with that. We'll put those up in here for now. What's behind the decision to keep Firetick on in this world as opposed to off in the previous season? Campfires exist now, for one thing. So when I started the Survival Guide Season 1, campfires hadn't been released yet because they were a 1.14 feature after the Tiger vote. And so, like, now you can make fireplaces that look like they have a fire going in them and don't burn down your wooden house. And so that's honestly the main reason why I'm fine leaving Firetick off now. I like the consequences Firetick has on your world. There are also lightning rods in the game now, so that your house can't burn down from a random lightning strike, leaving fire in an area that the rain can't reach. And so, yeah, the last few updates have included features which, to my mind, resolve some of the issues I had with leaving fire spread switched on. And yeah, I'm a lot happier with using that as a mechanic. If we want to clear cut an entire forest by burning it down, then we can. You know, like, we can explore the options that are available if you leave fire spread on in a way that doesn't mean that if we switch fire spread on, our house is going to burn down while we're not there. Even though I know fire spread is probably due to player proximity as well, right? But even so, I wouldn't want to put like an open fire in this house with the wooden floor and everything. Because in the real world, right, you can put a fireplace in a room like this with wood floors within like a meter of it. And A, because you're a responsible homeowner and you tend the fire, and B, your wood is probably treated, and C, you have some kind of like fire guard here. You can put an open fire like that in a room. In Minecraft, it's got to be a campfire, otherwise you burn your house down. Because fire spread mechanics are different from, you know, the organic or otherwise approach to how fire moves in the real world. Physics. Do campfires not spread to wood then? Campfires don't light anything on fire. They don't even light players on fire if you step on them. They deal fire damage. But if you step into a campfire, it does not light the player on fire. Or any mobs, for that matter. Like, if I do this... like, I'm taking damage, I'm not on fire. Fire wouldn't be a meter tall either. Yeah, I mean... I've seen some pretty big fires, but yes. Bonfire night in the UK. I'll see a couple of meter tall fires at least. It does on Bedrock? Oh, does it? Interesting. Well, yeah, it doesn't on Java. And I don't believe campfires spread fire to blocks in Java, even if it, in Bedrock, sorry. Even if it does light you on fire as a player, it doesn't then like light the planks on fire around you. Bonfire night in the UK is crazy. Try living near Lewis. Lewis has a bonfire society that is, I've only seen pictures, unhinged. It looks a little bit cult-like to me, which is very bizarre when you see pictures of it on BBC News, and it's just like, oh, the Lewis Carnival Society had their annual celebration of Guy Fawkes Night, and it was like, it has seven bonfire societies. You're right, yeah. It's got like this whole group of people, and they walk down the street burning various effigies, and you're like, this feels this feels a little sus. When am I going to post on Empires? When I feel like it. When I feel like it. I'm not rushing it. You went there last year? Nice. I was surprised they were doing anything the last couple of years because of the pandemic, but of course, you know, people have their own conceptions of like how safe it is to be outside in the open air doing stuff, and if people were wearing masks if they were in crowds and stuff, then maybe. But still, yeah, I'm still like, yeah, maybe it's a good idea to cancel burning the clocks this year. Lewis bonfire scared me the first time I saw it. It's a lot. It's a lot, man. Burn the virus. I mean, if we could throw the coronavirus on the fire, I'm sure there's been an effigy of that, just like one of those viral molecule things made out of papier mache, you know? But yeah, they'll have like fire marshals and people, and you know, everybody who's involved with that, I'm sure, is very capable of dealing with it. If nothing else, they've got some big fire extinguishers just like tucked away behind people's houses. Your brother gave you a plushie virus for your birthday and a plushie vaccine for Christmas. Well, that's very apropos. As someone that's not British, what's the history of bonfire night? So there was, were they Republicans or, I can't remember, not Republicans, were they Catholics? That was it. So this was back in old Britain, like it's a few centuries ago. I can't remember exactly when it was. I think it was around the time of like, you know, religious reformations and stuff, but there was a Catholic plot to burn down the Houses of Parliament. Yeah, Catholic versus Protestant thing. There was a Catholic plot to burn down the Houses of Parliament by effectively like storing gunpowder under Parliament and then blowing it all up. If you've ever seen the movie V for Vendetta, basically that, but it didn't work because V for Vendetta is like heavily inspired by the gunpowder plot of yeah, basically the Catholics deciding that the government was corrupt and they wanted to burn the whole thing down. And there is I forget the guy's actual name. He is later known as Guy Fawkes, but I think he had a different name. Maybe I can't remember. But yeah, like he was sort of the ringleader of the whole thing. And so Bonfire Night is also called Guy Fawkes Night because the plot was foiled and like we set off fireworks to commemorate the foiling of a plot to destroy the British government. So those of us who are critical of the British government in its current state have a lot of fun with that every year. 1600s, yeah, 1605, okay, yeah. So my knowledge of it is very hazy because honestly, like, the only thing we remember it for in modern day Britain, really, is we have a big bonfire and there's some fireworks displays. Obviously, we know the vague history behind it, but again, it's like the dates of it escape me. Are we blowing up Parliament again? Fireworks to celebrate failed secret murder fireworks. More or less, yeah. It's got, excuse me, like a lot of British humour, it has its roots in self-deprecation and gallows humour, which tends to be the case. AEX Sinner, thank you for the 15 months. Thank you so much for the resub. Hope you're well. Guy Fawkes betrayed the Brits to help the French. Yes, and for that, we burn him in effigy every year. Remember the 5th of November. That's all I know. Ironic that that's all you remember is the rhyme. The gunpowder, treason, and plot. Let's start growing some oak trees, because at least they'll grow without bone meal. For Americans, basically, you're equivalent of the 4th of July. I mean, kind of, because, like, the 4th of July is American Independence Day, and we weren't necessarily independent from anything other than still having a government. Hunter, what? Thank you for the 20 gifted subs. Incredible. Incredible generosity. Folks in the chat who just got gifted a sub, make sure you thank Hunter for that very generous gift sub. Incredible support for the community. And for me, of course. Thank you so much. Missed out the morbid part of creating a fake Guy Fawkes that we set on fire and watch burn. That's what I was talking about with the effigies. Sorry if the word is maybe unfamiliar to folks who aren't involved with it every year, but yeah, like, it's yeah, a lot of the time Lewis Carnival creates effigies of various other political hate figures. Like, they've definitely burned effigies of Donald Trump more than a few times. Never understand how Twitch works. I mean, Twitch is a dark art, I've always said so. Down in New Orleans, they light a ton of bonfires along the river for New Year's. Yeah, I mean, New Orleans has obviously like a lot of different traditions around that kind of stuff. You got Carnival, you know, Mardi Gras. Then we also used to knock on people's doors asking for money, penny for the guy. Probably, yeah. There's a lot of weird stuff. It's like wassailing or carol singing or whatever around Christmas. It's like, there's a lot of knocking on people's doors asking for money. Turns out people used to be pretty poor. And many still are. How much longer a stream today? We'll probably go for another like half hour or so. I feel like things are winding down in terms of the tree chopping. I'm just having fun chatting with everybody. Do I watch The Ashes? I don't know. Not really that into cricket. which is good because we were terrible apparently. So why are chopping so many trees? The idea behind my streams when it comes to the survival guide world is to prepare resources ahead of time. So if I want to build something, I can just build it. If I need 3 stacks of charcoal, I can make them out of the trees I've already chopped. So a lot of the time I tend to do a lot of manual wood chopping on streams. It's a good opportunity to just gather resources and talk to people. It's a low effort activity, so I don't have to concentrate so much on the game. I can talk to the chat, and a lot of the time I'll just gather resources so that I don't have to stop halfway through a build to go and chop more trees. Like when I was building the fishing shack, people might remember this from the video, there were a couple of times when I had to stop what I was doing and go and get more oak wood. And I prefer not to work that way. So once I'm at the point like I am in this world where I've got a decent amount of stuff established and people have seen me chop trees in videos to the point where I don't need to explain every time I do it, I like to do a little bit of that stuff on stream, do some resource gathering. Palik, nothing happened to Iskal. Iskal has been streaming on Twitch because he has a mod pack called Vault Hunters that he's been putting a lot of time and effort into. From what I gather, from what I've heard about the Hermitcraft's Season 8 ending, they always planned to have a shorter season of Hermitcraft, and so maybe because he was putting so much time into Vault Hunters, he didn't feel like he had time to adequately pull off his plans on Hermitcraft before they reset the server, and so he just didn't worry about it. There's the video clip on YouTube explaining why he's not on Hermitcraft Season 8 much. Yeah, and I think that's entirely understandable. I believe he has said he's going to try and get as involved with Season 9 as he can, because Season 9 doesn't have a lifespan the way Season 8 did. But, again, I can't speak for Iskal. I'm not, you know, an expert on any of that stuff, just what I've heard. Just what I can assume as well, based on what I know about content creation. Yeah, he also got ill, and it's always really unfortunate when that happens in the middle of a season that you know you have a limited lifespan. I know, I say lifespan like, you know, I don't mean it that seriously, but in terms of the dates they had planned for Hermitcraft Season 8. I know Good Times with Scar has had various issues with, you know, recurring. I mean, he's got chronic illness issues anyway, so he's, yeah, run into the same struggles occasionally. But Scar is so committed to Hermitcraft. Like, the guy is incredible. I think for the last little chunk of this, once we've got a few more trees here, because my axe is getting relatively low on durability, I'm probably going to go and look for some coal, because I've used a lot of coal to smelt all of that copper for the fishing shack roof, and so I'll probably go and do a little bit of caving and look for some more coal veins, if you guys are interested in just hanging out and watching some of that. I'll probably go back to the area where I was mining all the copper, because there were a few other caves around there that looked promising. Etho only did like 8 episodes? Yeah. Yeah, I think Etho went into this season basically being like, I'm just going to mess around. Like, I'm just going to have a goof around. And that seems to be Etho's ethos a lot of the time. And it works for the guy, because he's got a good brain for that kind of side of things. Etho has a new series. I know, I saw episode 1 of like a... Was that like a lightly modded series went up? See you later, Jeronif. Have a good one. Always like to watch caving. Cool. Yeah, let's... We can get oak wood anytime we like. Let's stash these in here and let's go find some coal. Some of these trees might even be grown by the time I get back, but I doubt it, because random tick. I'm also going to throw these sticks somewhere. In here. Why not? And probably the apples as well. And there I've got a bit more inventory space. I doubt I'll come back with a full inventory of coal, but still. Do I think I'll ever start a server? I've had a server running for my patrons for the last 5 years, and it's got to the point where running a server is a bit of a drain on my time, along with all of the other stuff I do on YouTube. So, probably not. At least not until I had, like, an admin team that could run the server and I could be, like, the front man. And I'm not really interested in that kind of relationship with any kind of, like, staff team. Like, it's a lot of depending on other people to do what is otherwise a relatively thankless job. So I don't like that kind of dynamic so much for myself. Other people can do it, it works out fine. But in my case, no, I'm not interested in really making another server. See you later, Bumblebirch. Have a good one. The first stream you caught live, 10 Builder. Welcome in. Lovely to have you here. Is Empires a YouTube and Twitch thing on just YouTube? I'd stream it on Twitch occasionally as well. All my streams were like out of character, and that's another reason I haven't been on Empires as much, is that I don't really like the acting side of things so much. I know there's different ways to play it when it comes to acting, but a lot of it is just, I don't know, it's not quite my jam in the way that I was hoping it would be when I started up on Empires to begin with. What I like doing is building stuff that has a story, but not necessarily positioning myself as the protagonist. And Empires, we were kind of forced into, I mean, I say forced into, you know, we engineered Empires to be something that ultimately had a group of protagonists. Like, we were all, like, the main character of our own story. And that's not really how I like to play Minecraft. Like, I don't think of Minecraft as the kind of thing where I'm the main character. I just see myself as sort of like a force of nature building some stuff, I guess. And, yeah, like, I like building stuff that feels like it has a history that I, as a player, am not necessarily part of. I'm just constructing it, almost like it's a reconstruction or a visualization of something that had existed before me. And, yeah, the thing about Empires was that it's a bunch of people playing characters, effectively, in this world now. And I'm not as into that as I expected to be. I'm also not a megalomaniac like Joel, so I can't do the, like, I'm ignoring all of the storyline stuff, but I'm still the king of my place, like... Could I do Empires out of character if and when I return? Thing is, at this point, it wouldn't quite be the same. Because I've set up all of this stuff and people are like, where's the Copper King? Where's the Phantom Assassin guy? Where's this and that? And, like, I don't have an answer for any of that if I just come back and I'm like, I'm just going to build. I just want to finish the anthill so that if a world download gets released, then, like, people can go and look at a thing I built. Like, people are caught up in the story of that server now, and I don't want to let those people down. So what I'm doing is not playing on the server. You can see how this works for me. But yeah, I'll be back on Empires at some stage. I just need to gather the right sort of mental energy to participate in that server again. And for me, that means playing a little bit of bog-standard survival Minecraft and doing what I think I do best, which is teach people how to play the game. Since I don't do much, would I be averse to someone using my Minecraft skin on a t-shirt? I would prefer if people didn't resell it. Actually, like, let me rephrase that. Do not resell anything with my branding on it. If you just want to make your own t-shirt, then go ahead. I can't really stop you printing something for your own purposes, but don't sell anything with my branding on it, because that gets complicated and legal, and I don't want to get complicated and legal. At some point, I might end up doing merchandise of my own, but I'm reserving that for when, again, I have the mental energy to do it, which, yeah, is potentially going to be a while off if it happens at all. Hey, look, more of that copper vein. Not really what I'm after right now. But this cave goes off in a bunch of different directions, and it has more of what I want here, which is the coal. Yeah, just for personal use is fine. If you're gonna print a picture of me on a t-shirt that you're just gonna wear yourself, and you're not selling it to anybody else, then go for it. It's like making fan art, basically, at that point. Though I have nothing wrong with fan t-shirts. Just don't be selling fan t-shirts. All this personal branding stuff is such a pain. My brain just gets into that one Brian David Gilbert video about building your online brand. I start singing in a very operatic way. Hello. Nope, the second arrow didn't hit him, but it didn't matter. He fell to his doom. The other problem with going caving like this and exploring a couple of caves just to innocently find some coal is that maybe I run into a monster spawner. And then what? What do we do at that point? Because I really want to find these things on camera in an episode, rather than it be something that happens off camera and then people be like, oh, you clearly looked this up. At least then we have this stream as an archive of what happened, right? I could maybe put a clip of it into a stream. I could put a clip of a stream into a video, and they're like, hey, we stumbled upon this monster spawner. But I would also love that stuff to actually occur on videos, because the videos then get to do something about it. So I'm going to grab a little bit more of the coal here, and then we're probably going to head back. Because all I really need is enough coal to fill up the furnaces I have at my house. I knew that guy was going to be there. I was watching my back like I knew something was going to be around that corner. It wasn't the Enderman either. What are the purposes of dripstone? Dripstone blocks are decorative. Pointed dripstone can damage things. It can be used to... Oh, there's two guys there. It can be used to reproduce lava and water, which are two very interesting things you can do with it. So if you ever want renewable lava, dripstone is the way to go. We'll cover that in a future episode, but it's also in my Empires series, actually. Alright, that should be enough. At least we know there's more coal down here as well. So let's make our way out of here. Any reason I play Java over Bedrock? Just what was available to me at the time when I started playing on PC. Because the Bedrock edition for Windows 10 was not released at the time. So I started playing... Hello? What is this? This is kind of close to that ravine, but I don't know if I've seen this part. Cool. Might have to come back there. Man, everything around the world is just like full of surprises now, and it's quite fascinating. Yeah, no, I didn't end up with I joined Java Edition before Bedrock Edition was even on Windows 10. Before Bedrock Edition was a unified version. Been playing Minecraft for over 7 years now. I played for 6 months on Xbox 360, and then I bought Java Edition on PC to play with some friends on a Minecraft server, because Bedrock Edition didn't exist. And so since then, I've always played Java Edition because I owned it. I dabbled in Bedrock Edition when the beta came out for Windows 10, but it never quite felt the same to me. For a start, there was... I don't know if it's still the case. At the time, controlling it with a keyboard and mouse, it felt less responsive than Java Edition. There was like a slight input lag that always kind of put me off. In the same way that, like, if you're playing a game with a wireless controller that's like an off-brand one, sometimes your inputs aren't quite as fast as they are with like a proper wireless Xbox controller or something. I don't know. And yeah, there was just something about it. There's like a slight input lag that never quite worked for me. But then by that point, because the mechanics of Bedrock Edition and Java Edition were disparate, they were separate, I just kept playing Java Edition because I knew the mechanics of Java Edition well enough. And the same goes for the Minecraft survival guide. I couldn't make a Bedrock survival guide because I don't really know the mechanics. Hey, here comes some free bone meal for us. I went behind the tree and he still got me, the swine. He didn't even drop any bones. Rude, and now it's raining. Ugh. Even Windows 10 didn't exist at that time either. I started playing Minecraft's Java edition on a Linux Mint distro because the computer I started playing it on was not good enough to run Windows until I got a better CPU and a better graphics card. But my brother-in-law gave me that PC, basically built it for me on the strength of old parts he had lying around. So I'm still very thankful that he did. Alright, those are all filled up now. Got a bit more iron. And it's raining, so let's do some fishing. As long as it doesn't become a thunderstorm, we can do some fishing. We got a bit more coal, we got all the trees. We don't have anything left in this barrel. So I'm going to take that barrel with me. Let's grab this. This is my best fishing rod. It doesn't have lure yet, but it has luck of the sea. And we get a little bit more chances of a catch with the rain, so we may as well do that now. And we have luck of the sea on this, so we can hopefully get a little bit of treasure. First book mending? I wish. What do I have against the rain? I'm British, so everything. My favourite Minecraft minigame? This. Fishing. Unbreaking 3, Curse of Vanishing, of course. That's going in this box. Can you fish and use a spyglass at the same time? You can, haha, but then you can't retract the rod without swapping it back to your main hand. Here's a new game. Limited view fishing. Which one takes priority? we kind of got that. Ended up stalling out the bobber on the way back. Do F5? No, I mean I have it bound to a different key. With F1 it looks a little bit different. I just spammed keys and hoped I got lucky there. There we go. It's always really weird when you remove the HUD and the line just stays there as well. For perspective toggle gang, it's so much better. It's like right next to the WASD, next to your inventory. It makes sense. When do I plan on fighting the dragon? I was talking about this earlier. I don't really know. Yeah, as Dr. 83 says, there is no rush. I think naturally we're going to want to fight the dragon when we want shulker boxes, but like there are advantages to doing it as early as possible, but I don't want to rush the people who are following along with my tutorials into that. And I'm perfectly fine to wait as long as it takes, really. What does one use a bucket of cod for? Toy with it? Empty it out into a fish tank? Yeah, buckets are just for distributing live animals in different places if they are aquatic animals. Play COD. Thanks, Ginger. Carry it around as a pet, feed it to axolotls? Yeah. Just put it in a tank with your pet axolotl. Okay, better. Better than Curse of Vanishing this time. I don't have Unbreaking on this bow yet, so that's actually viable. Although I'm pretty sure I have another Unbreaking bow somewhere. Bucket of cod is good as another water source in Skyblock? I mean, you would have to have a bucket of water to get the cod in the first place, so I don't know. Thanks for the stick, I guess. Imagine if we could have buckets of non-aquatic mobs or a lava bucket with a Strider. Strider and a lava bucket, imagine! That'd be so good. There's mods that give you buckets of slime, I think. I think we had one of those on the Division SMP a while ago. Just dodge the dragon fight until you feel necessary. Basically what we're planning on doing, I think. Like, somebody just asked if I plan on, like, exploring the world on a horse. Like, I haven't even considered, yeah, we should probably cover horseback exploration at some stage before we get into, like, roaming the world with Elytra. Even though I don't really rate horses, it's one of those things that's, like, it's early game enough that I feel like we should do it. At some point, we're going to have to ride a pig with a saddle just because you can, but there's no achievements tied to that now, so I'm like, why are we doing this? The first thing I rode in this world was a Strider. Can you imagine? Like the newest rideable mob in the game, basically. Breeding the perfect horse? Impossible, technically. Don't like using a horse because you don't like leaving it behind with the ocean. If you got a donkey, you can put it in a boat. Hey, a new Nautilus shell. That's 2 of 8. Buckets are good for cod sanctuaries, apparently. Apollo, tomorrow's episode is going to be about potion brewing. Since we went to the Nether, we found blazes and nether warts. Makes perfect sense to go back to the Nether with potions of fire resistance on deck. And there are also some very interesting prospects when it comes to water-breathing potions now that there are caves in waterlogged areas. In rivers and oceans and that kind of stuff. The cave generation can lead you down into a cave that's as expansive as the ones that you find that aren't flooded. But flooded caves also have more chances of resources because they're not exposed to the open air. Potions still confuse you. It's a Potions 101. It's not the full guide because we don't have access to some of that stuff yet. Like, I don't have carrots. I haven't found a village with carrots. I haven't found carrots in loot chests anywhere, and a zombie has not dropped a carrot or a potato for me. So right now, I don't have any carrots I can use to make golden carrots. I could probably find them in, like, a nether portal chest or something, but I like to explore the most basic format, which is you have gold, you have carrot, you put 2 together. So I can't make potions of night vision or potions of invisibility. I haven't fought any phantoms yet, so I can't make slow-falling potions. And I haven't fought a ghast, so I can't make potions of regeneration. I think the rest of them are okay. Oh, and turtle shell helmets, so I can't make a turtle master potion yet either. But then, yeah, like, I've covered a bunch of the others. Yeah, the wiki flowchart is definitely going to get linked in that video as well. Yeah, I found one shipwreck so far, and it didn't have any carrots in it. So there is another shipwreck that I know the location of, and I'm sure I could find more if I wanted to, but I don't want people to think they need to find a shipwreck in order to find carrots as well. Like, in its most basic form, you find a carrot growing in a village, or you get it from a zombie. I feel like shipwrecks is like option C or D on the list of where you get carrots from, right? So I think it's, even though it might be one of the first things that you encounter by chance, I don't want anyone to feel like they have to rely on that. Lure 2? Potential. I'm a holdout for Lure 3. Basically addicted to invisibility potions. Are you on a multiplayer server? Or do you just not like being seen by mobs? You know what's really interesting is sneaking actually reduces the range at which mobs will spot you. Which, you know, the clue is in the name, right? But I never actually considered the mechanical implications of that until I did an episode of the Minecraft Survival Guide Season 1 in which I talked about mob heads. Because if you're wearing a creeper head, it reduces the radius at which creepers can see you. Or that creepers will aggro on you. There's the bed. Because, like, they think you're one of them. So, like, the same with zombies, skeletons, the ones that you can get mob heads for. You can get really close to a zombie or a skeleton without it aggroing on you if you're wearing a zombie head and you're sneaking. Now add an invisibility potion to that. So you're wearing a zombie head, you're sneaking, and you've got an invisibility potion and no other armor on. You can get, like, a block and a half away from a zombie before it realizes you're there. Could totally watch a fishing episode / stream. Well, welcome to the latter of those, and I did an episode all about fishing the other day, so if you want to check that out, it's on my YouTube channel. Read similar about wither skeleton skulls on wearing gold armor too. I don't know about the gold armor thing, but yes, the wither skeleton skulls will probably allow you to be safer, although I don't think the same is true of the Ender Dragon. I don't know if the Ender Dragon head counts. The Ender Dragon is used to being the only one of it. Does that work with the vanilla tweak small mob heads? No, I don't think they've coded it that way. They're just for aesthetics. Imagine that, though, if you put a cow head on and cows couldn't see you. Even if you were holding wheat, they'd be like, oh, where's that wheat coming from? Why does that other cow have some wheat? Be pretty funny. Never had mob heads drop for you in vanilla? That's because they don't. I mean, the wither skeleton skulls will drop from wither skeletons. But zombies, creepers, and skeletons don't drop their heads unless they are blown up by a charged creeper. Which is likely to happen more often than it used to because we have lightning rods and thunderstorms happen more frequently because sleeping doesn't reset the weather cycle every time. So, potentially... Thank you, Broken Physics. Yeah, potentially we could start to see more people toting mob heads just because of the likelihood of charged creepers being higher. But, yeah, like, you don't just get mob heads in the way that you do from the vanilla tweak small mob heads, where it doesn't just, drop as part of their loot table. So excited you're here for the beginning of the world. Yeah, I one of the other reasons, like, the decision to reset the Survival Guide world and do a Season 2 was a complicated one, but one of the reasons I was so in favor of it was because we were getting into, like, the episode numbers in the 350s. I think it ended up on 364 because a lot of people were mad that I didn't have one episode for every day of the year, which I'm like, watch one of my other videos, come on. But the episode numbers were getting so high that people thought, well, I was never really like an early adopter of this series. You can watch back through the entire thing, but it takes ages. I wanted to restart the series so that people could feel like they were, you know, here for the beginning of something again. Tried to get a charge creeper with an Impaling 5 and channeling, had to grindstone just for the channeling and loyalty. Yeah, Impaling 5, if you're in the rain and on Bedrock Edition, will absolutely destroy something. Because on Bedrock, the Trident works differently. On Bedrock Edition, the Trident will damage mobs that are just in contact with water. If it has Impaling, it will work the same way Sharpness does. But on Java Edition, unless it's an aquatic mob, Bane of Arthropods 4, of course, unless it's an aquatic mob, like a fish or a squid or a guardian, Impaling doesn't do any more damage to it. Even the drowned are exempt from Impaling damage because they're technically undead, so Smite affects them more than Impaling does. That's going to change when they eventually unify combat, but I don't know when they're going to do that. Was waiting for episode 404 for the short Minecraft questions episodes. I wasn't going to do a 404 because episode 101 was a lot of work. Episode 202 took me several days to make, And episode 303, I basically had to pull an all-nighter to edit. So 404 was just out of scope. Like, I wouldn't have answered 400 questions about Minecraft. It would have been too much. Either that or I would have had to clump together, like, okay, 30 people asked the same question, so I'll do one answer for that. Yeah, I was... If we got as far as 404, I was going to do 404 questions not found, and then just make it, like, an hour-long video of me fishing or something. Just like elevator music plays. They plan to add that in the next combat update, but I'm not sure if that's still here. That's the thing, that's what I'm saying, is like when they unify combat between Java and Bedrock Edition, in whatever the next combat update is, then they plan on rebalancing a bunch of stuff. But that I think is probably going to pair quite well with their intentions towards changing mob spawning if they continue to follow up on those ideas after the experimental snapshots from this latest update cycle. Because it's like the combat update 2.0, right? Like after 1.9 changed everything for Java. Perfect video idea for April 1st. If it had worked out, then it would have been pretty funny. An hour-long fishing video with a voiceover saying I'm not joining Hermitcraft on a loop? Yeah, pretty much. Am I in favor of or against the attack cooldown? I like it because it's kind of a fun way of injecting some skill into PvE. I gather for PvP it sucks. Like, because players regenerate health too fast as well. Like, the saturation, including that kind of health regen boost, really stacks things in favor of the defender versus the attacker. I like it for PvE. I can understand why people have issues with it for competitive stuff. We need stackable rabbit stew. What we need to is for rabbit stew to not be in open bowls. It needs to be in, like, closed containers is what we need. We need, like, a jar of soup. Like a mason jar with a lid. It's what we need for rabbit stew. Oh, the lily pads are coming thick and fast today, apparently. Minecraft Tupperware, exactly what we need. Thank you. Somebody invent plastic trees, quick. Stacking open bowls, the soup would pour out, which is why you can't stack liquids. Like buckets of water, buckets of lava. Historically, you cannot stack them. Because then you'd push the liquid out. Don't ask how cubic meters of material works, please. Who is the best PvPer in my opinion? I know nothing about the scene. I know nothing about the PvP scene. So I couldn't tell you. Like, I've heard of Technoblade, apparently he's good. But I don't know anything about PvPers at all. Not a community I've really experienced outside of doing Twitch Rivals events, where it's mostly just about who's on Twitch and who's streaming. When you get to showing off name tags for Survival Guide... Survival Guide? Survival Guide? I read ahead and you said something about Don Quixote and... yeah, my brain transposed those vowels. But yes, thank you for the name suggestions. I think we'll get around to horses and stuff. If not this week, then pretty early next week. Daisy Dadel, thank you so much for the 4 months. Thanks for all the effort you put into the tutorials. It helped me a lot. Still using your brewing station from the last guide. Well, another brewing episode is coming tomorrow, so we'll see. It's back to basics for that one, though. It's not like a brewing computer. No Metagross, I do not. To save you some time, I don't really watch much Minecraft content that isn't Hermitcraft, simply because I don't have time. Like, I'd love to get more involved with the videos of other folks in the community. More often than not, I watch streams, and I'm watching a bunch of people who are, like, my peers here on Twitch, and friends that I've made through the Twitch community, but, yeah, like, I don't really watch much of, like, the newer breed of Minecraft YouTubers, I tend to watch the Hermits because I need to for the recap. And honestly, the gameplay that the Hermits put in is the stuff that's the most interesting to me because it's high-level technical survival gameplay, really expansive builds, really exciting stuff, like good video production. A lot of the time, I really like that. So I think it's more in my wheelhouse than watching the more popular content creators who often make videos which have a different focus. Do I watch half the Hermits and Zlo watches the other half? Yes, Ginger has just put the list in the chat thanks to the !Hermits command. That's the list of all of the Hermits that I watch, at least from this season. Zloy XP watches anybody who isn't on that list. And sometimes we'll watch people from the other side if we have a bit of spare time and, you know, the episode looks interesting to us in particular, but for the purposes of the recap, I watch half of them, he watches half of them. Do I watch them in any specific order? The order that they appear to me on my YouTube sidebar when I scroll through my subscriptions. Which I think is dependent on who has uploaded most recently. I think that's the way it works. So like right now, if I open YouTube and keep an eye on this to get a fish. So if I open YouTube right now, my subscription sidebar says Doc M, Mumbo Jumbo, XB Crafted, Impulse SV, BOO, Joe Hills, Tinfoil Chef, Pearlescent Moon, Ethos Lab, Vintage Beef, Rendog, Iscal85. That is the order I would watch them in. Oh, Stress Monster is down there as well, because Stress hasn't uploaded on YouTube for a little while yet, because of moving, I think. But, yeah, that's just like the way my subscription feed looks right now. There we go. Not too much in the way of loot there. But I do think we need lure on this fishing rod. Oh yeah, we don't need to put anything in here, do we? It's in here. This is where I'm keeping all the fish now. This is where I keep the fish. Up here we have leather and... Did I put the Nautilus shells in here? I did. Okay, cool. So we've got a power 3 bow and a regular fishing rod in there. Yeah. See, I have another rod in here that has lure too, but it also has the other enchantments that increase the price, so I'm thinking we want to just get lure 3 on a book or a separate fishing rod at some stage. But hey, we have 32 levels again. So I think when we start a new video, we could probably do something with those. And in the meantime, all my trees have grown, and the sky is blue. I've been for a walk. What about Grian's? Low watches Grian. I find it funny that that's everyone's first question whenever I say which Hermits I watch for the recap. I'm like, Zloy watches the other half, and they're like, what about Grian? I'm like, well, yes, Zloy watches Grian. That's part of it. It's almost like he's a popular YouTuber. Will you ever get a download for the Survival Guide Season 1 world? Yes. Any follow-up questions? Actually found you prefer watching streams to watching YouTube because you can interact directly with the creator. YouTube videos, you got to comment and wait days. If that's what it's about for you, then I completely understand. I've been responding to comments on YouTube more frequently because I'm making tutorial videos again, and a lot of the time the comments are really good in terms of other aspects of the mechanics I'm discussing that people want to know more about and expand upon. Obviously, I've had a lot of people being very supportive about the fact that I'm making this series again and people enjoy it. But yeah, I'm always really happy with the level of comments I get on my videos. And so I try to respond to the ones that are like actively worth engaging with. I don't just like respond with hi when somebody says hi a lot of the time, because I find it weird when people do that. And this is entirely a personal opinion thing, but I find it very strange when people leave a comment saying, I'm commenting so that the algorithm boosts your video. It's like, you could do that by saying something nice about the video itself. Even just saying, you know, I enjoyed this without specifying lets me know I'm doing a good job. But it feels like a very artificial thing when somebody is like, I am trying to do this so that YouTube will give you more internet clout. And I'm like, I don't know, I'm an artist though. I kind of want to hear what people think. It's like going to an artist when they've opened an art gallery and saying, I paid the price of admission. Like, they don't care. They want to know what you heard. They want to know what you said about the paintings. They want to know whether the art was provocative to you in any way. Like, it's a very strange, like, it's a weird environment, YouTube. And, like, I get it, because a lot of the time YouTubers and content creators and people in this online space talk very openly about the behind-the-scenes mechanics of how a lot of this stuff works. And so they'll talk about views, and so the audience gets this idea of like, oh, views is important to this person, so I'm going to let them know that I am a viewer, and they're going to find me important as a result. And that's all true, but also I like to just get a human reaction out of people sometimes and have people let me know that they liked what I'm doing is kind of the most important aspect of it to me. Yeah, it's a little bit like going to the opening of an art gallery and then telling the artist that you went to the toilet while you were there, you know? Because unless it was Marcel Duchamp's fountain, not really part of the exhibit. It's an art joke for all of the artists in the chat. I walked to this art gallery using my legs, exactly. I clicked a button on this web page, and it showed me your video, specifically, of the 4.5 billion hours of content that's uploaded to YouTube every day. Yours was the one that was passed across my eyeballs by beams of light. It's just so mechanical. Like, tell me what you like. Says the guy who doesn't have a favorite color. I know, but still. Tell me what you like. Alright. We have a little bit more wood, a little bit more oak wood we can just throw in down here. But I think that's probably where we're going to call it for today. I've rambled enough. I'm in danger of upsetting people. Not really. Let's throw all of this in here. Let's put the granite down here with all the decorative stone types and whatnot. And organic. Do I have lily pads in here yet? I don't, because I've been throwing them all in the river. I can throw the apples in there at least. And yeah, that is where we're going to call it for today. Stick around though, we're going to raid somebody here on Twitch. Thank you so much. We've had like 1,000 viewers this entire stream. It's so nice to stream for you guys. And I really appreciate all of the comments in the chat. Thank you, as always, to the mods for helping out and doing what they do. But we're going to be calling it here, and we're going to be raiding somebody else here on Twitch. Thank you for all the support on the stream, all of the subs, resubs, bits, all of that. It's all very much appreciated. We are going to be raiding Music Man 1017 today because he and Ms. Rowe are going to be on Legacy SMP. They're going to be finding a new home on that server. He's currently on Be Right Back, so we're just going to hang out here and chill for a second. Malcolm is a good dude and is one of those guys who I will always raid because he just has this wonderful enthusiasm. He's a very, very talented Minecraft player. Makes all his own music, plays it on streams, makes that music available to people who also stream DMCA free, which is very, very kind of him. Love musicians that do that. I don't know how soon he's going to be back, though, so I'm just vamping at this point until... Vamp until ready. Gonna scoot to the guy. Hey, no worries. No worries. Yeah, anyone else who is out there streaming. On the Diagonal, thank you for the 20 months and giving me something else to talk about, I guess. Music Man rocks, he does. I've moved Streamlabs over here so I can talk to you guys, and it's like I'm talking to the camera. This is where I get all of the comments that start to come back about why I don't have a camera on my regular videos if I'm happy with my face being seen. It's because this is a tutorial series, not a reaction series. Although, if I'd had a if I'd had a camera, like, I don't want to be thinking about my face at the same time as all of the other stuff, right? And I feel like I have a fairly, like, generic, bland face, and it's hard to be expressive when you have a beard. So, I feel like half the time when I find a nether fortress by digging through 3 blocks next to my nether portal, like I did in the video today, my face doesn't go like the reaction-based YouTubers do. My face is just like, well, we found a thing, exciting, you know? Like, I don't tend to change my facial expressions all that much. I don't, like, act for the camera, you know? And so it's difficult for me to bridge that gap, it feels like. Lava Bees, hey, no worries. I'm glad you enjoyed the stream, and thank you for heading off to watch the Survival Guide episode. I appreciate it. What's my favorite material to grind for? Like, what grind do I enjoy most? Throughout the entirety of the Minecraft Survival Guide, I did not really build a permanent tree farm, and that is because chopping trees is always the most satisfying to me. I don't know why. I think it's because there's so many different trees, there's a diversity of ways you can harvest them. Like, I like doing the 2x2 tree, like the spiral up, the kind of spiral staircase approach to chopping down jungle and wood and spruce trees. And so, yeah, stuff like that is fine to me. Sand is probably a close second because you can insta-mine it without a beacon and you just get to go across like all of the sand dunes. The spiral is so satisfying. It is. And yeah, like I find tree farms kind of awkward to build because you can't always account for every different type of tree. Sand dunes, yes, the dunes. Yeah, the automatic tree farms that are out there either work for one specific type of tree or they're universal, but they take a lot of resources to build, and it's the kind of thing I would have to look up a tutorial because I'm not smart enough to do it myself. After watching my video, you've realized that XP is music. It is. It plays different sounds, and I think they're random. 2x2 spruce using an ender pearl and efficiency 5 axe. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. We haven't got the what's the word? Like, the abundance of ender pearls now. All right, Malcolm is live. Finally. So we can raid him. MusicMan1017 is the lad. I'm pretty sure he's family friendly, but if that's a concern for you, then feel free to click away. There are other lovely folks out here streaming on Twitch. May I recommend Boz? Ms. Rowe is also streaming, and she is Music Man's sister, so I think they're streaming together. But I'm going to send you guys over to Malcolm. So wish him well. Don't forget to use your Pixel Hype emotes in the hashtag PixelRaid. They're starting on Legacy Season 3. Very excited for the start of a new season of Legacy. Hope you enjoy your week, and I will probably be back on Thursday. In the meantime, take care. My name's been Pixel Riffs. I'll see you folks soon. Bye for now.